Good morning to you. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, guys. Welcome to the show. I'm Monkey. This is Monkey in the Morning. Hope you guys are well. Hope you've been well. It's been a couple of days. I feel like I haven't really worked in 2 weeks. Probably because I haven't much. I'm okay. I'm really sore. I was okay, so I set up my garden, right? And we didn't do one last year. It just with the way the weather went and everything. By the time we had a good time frame to plant, there wasn't enough time really to grow it, you know what I mean? And so we just didn't do one last year, but I really liked it the year before. So I was committed this year. And went and got a nice little planter box thing, and got some soil to put in it. And y'all know how heavy those fucking bags are? Oh my God. There is not a muscle below my head. Well, I guess not my arms, but which is weird. My torso, my pelvis, my legs, my feet, pulled every goddamn muscle in them. Every possible one. It's a really nice feeling, actually. But we are not here to talk about my screwed up body. We're here to talk about our screwed up media. Oh, God. I wasn't sure I was going to do a oh, thanks for dropping the links there, Dangerous. I wasn't sure I was going to do a long show about this because, I mean, it's kind of redundant at this point to say that our press sucks. It's always fun to have some examples and stuff, but usually it's a small clip, maybe a half-hour portion of the show. But oh God, we talked about Jake Tapper's book 2-3 months ago now, when it was first announced it was going to be coming out. Sorry, guys, popping some Motrin. And we talked at the time about how absolutely asinine it was for Jake Tapper to be writing a book about how the media they just didn't know. The Biden administration lied to them. They fell for the ruse. The poor bastards were just tricked by that wily coyote Joe Biden and the people working for it. It was just, they couldn't possibly have known. The wool was pulled over their eyes, and it was all just crap. Just fucking nonsense. We have literally been talking about Joe Biden and his mental decline since 2019. Since he first bursts onto the stage, well, I guess spills onto the stage in the crowded Democratic field of 2019. And two things were immediately clear. Joe Biden was going to win the nomination, and Joe Biden wasn't all there. This was clear to anybody who paid any kind of attention and wasn't just trying to run cover for Biden and bring down Trump, which excludes the majority of the American media, probably the world media as well. But the lengths that they went to cover for this man, not covering a single spill or mistake that he made all through the election. The 2020 election, COVID really was a major part of that because Biden got away with some stuff. He would have got away with it anyway, but it was a lot easier for the news to explain. Because if you look at the election of 2024, Biden still wasn't out there a lot. Biden still wasn't doing his campaign duty, I guess would be the way I'd say it. Hello, Jack. How the hell are you, my friend?
I'm okay. How are you?
Not worth discussing, but happy, so we'll just stay at that.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm unhappy with the media, and that's what we're talking about at the moment.
But you love the media.
Oh, fuck the media, man. Fuck them
I
right in
remember
the
you
ass.
saying the media is my best friends. If there's nothing I love more, it's than watching Jake Tapper, Scarborough, educate me about what is happening in the world. I'm pretty sure that's the exact quote.
You know what bothers me most about this Jake Tapper thing?
He's a big fat liar who lies.
Yeah, because Tapper isn't a stupid guy.
No, he's just a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's a fucking liar. That's different.
Yeah.
Joe Scarborough is a fucking retard. We can agree on
yeah.
that, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
He is a retard and a liar. So I expect that kind of stuff. With Jake, I had higher hopes. And this is why you never get your hopes up about people that you know are going to turn out to be shit. He's in the media. I knew what was going to happen, Jack.
Yeah, he's a garbage person. And look where he works. He's surrounded by people whose entire career is based on deception and mutilating the truth. So even if he was a good person at one time and had journalistic standards, by now he's been so corrupted that he's worthless.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's times on this show where I've given him credit for actually doing journalistic work.
Yeah, but it's been fewer and fewer over the years.
Yeah, I can't see myself doing that again.
No, not after the stupid book thing. No.
Yeah, so his book finally releases, and we're going to watch a video of his, Jack, of him talking about Axios reporting on his book. It's retardception. Reception. That's what we're going to. It's a reception, Jack. It's a reception. But before we get there, I want to remind you guys of a Jake Tapper clip. So he had Laura Trump on, Jack, and this is way back. This is way back when Donald was running against Biden. Why is that tab open? Well, shit.
I don't know.
Sorry.
That's probably my fault. I don't know.
I got distracted by the different things I have open. This is why I don't open shit on my computer. Anyway, so Laura is on with Jake Tapper, and Jake starts out this segment. We skipped ahead just a little bit because it's CNN, and I'm sure we're going to get hit for this anyway.
Yeah.
But he's already had this part at the very beginning where he's mad because Trump was making fun of somebody, and they get death threats every time he does that.
Oh, fuck off.
This is in the 2020 election cycle. And Jake then brings up Biden's stutter. The stutter that nobody's seen ever. Except for a few old men who claim that they remember Joey being made fun of in school. But nobody's seen it since then, Jack.
The Phantom Stutters sounds like an old 1940s serial about a murderer that can't talk properly. Like Warski went back in time on a serial killing spree.
Yes. From the shadow, he steps out.
He's going to stab you.
We're going to hell for this. Anyway.
Ken's going to kill me. Fish Called Wanda reference, you guys, if you're too young for that one.
I love A Fish Called Wanda. That was a good movie.
You know, I used to hate that movie, but then one day I watched it and I was like, okay, I get it.
It was surprisingly good, especially for the time.
Yes. Good cast, too.
Peace. Am I still here?
Yes.
Okay.
You hiccuped a bit, but I don't know if that was you or me, so I'm not blaming you.
I'm just going to take the blame for it anyway. So anyway, Jake has Laura on, and he brings up that Joe Biden brought a stuttering kid up on the campaign trail or on the stage somewhere that they're discussing here. And he goes, I want to play a video of you saying something. And this is what he plays.
Every time he comes on stage or they turn to him, I'm like, Joe, can you get it out? Let's get the words out, Joe. You kind of feel bad for him.
How do you... Now, I just want to remind you guys, this is 2019. By this time, me and Jack were already telling you guys there's something fucking wrong with this guy.
Yep.
And it wasn't that he was stuttering, because nobody stutters going, God, Steve.
Anyway.
It wasn't a stutter. It was his brain going to mush.
Yeah, and we caught hell for saying that, but we were ahead of everybody else on that one.
And it gets picked up, and Laura makes fun of it. And she's not even making fun of it there. She's just, this is what, I mean, we had to explain. I know those of you who've been here a long time already know this, but for those who are new, we had to explain this to Polly, who used to be on the show with us all the time. that we were not kidding. Because there is a thing where, if a politician messes up, then people, oh, look, he's retarded. Or we weren't playing about this. We were like, no, there is something cognitively fucked up with this guy.
Yeah, Polly thought it was a running joke, and no,
Yes.
we were dead serious. There was actual mental decline there, notable mental decline.
And to his credit, Polly started paying more attention, and it took maybe a week for him to go, I think you guys are right.
Yeah,
Yeah, because there was something wrong with the guy.
He caught on faster than most people, so
Yeah.
credit where credit's due. But yeah, he thought we were just being dicks. No,
And
dude,
look,
not this time.
There is a part of us that were being dicks, but we weren't just being dicks.
Yeah, we were being dicks in context, in proper context.
It would kind of like be making fun of me for having a big head. You're making a joke, but I really do have a big head.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Joe Biden really has dementia.
Yes, exactly. We were making jokes about it, but he really was losing his fucking mind in front of all of us. And so Laura makes this comment, and then just pay attention to this smug piece of cunt crust and his remark here.
Ew.
Joe, can you get it out? Let's get the words out, Joe. You kind of feel bad for him.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
Well, they probably looked at Joe and went, that's not a stutter.
That's not a stutter. Oh yeah, they shouldn't have felt bad about it. Also, you know who I feel bad for is little kids with dementia.
Yeah, no shit. How do you think this makes little kids with stutters feel? Probably nothing at all. One, they're little kids. They're probably not watching politics.
I would hope not.
Two, if they are, they're probably looking at Biden and going, I don't sound like that, right? Play me a tape of myself. I want to make sure I don't sound like that old man because that doesn't sound like a stutter to me. Because, Jake, they're little kids. They're not retarded. You're thinking of your colleagues at CNN. Anyway.
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on
Nobody did. Because even at this time, Jack, before the media starts kicking out this stutter line, it was brought up once or twice in 2015. Before that, it was brought up in an article one time in 2008. And before that, I can't find them talking about it in news media. And I did go searching. I'm not saying there's no mention, but it was so dismally reported for something that he suffered his whole life from. It was such a minor part of his whole life that he talked more about sitting with imaginary black people on their porch than he talked about his fucking stutter.
Oh yeah, the black people that were in that Puerto Rican neighborhood.
Yeah. So kiss my whole ass with this nonsense. And that's all Laura's pointing out. Like, nobody fucking knew this. And nobody was accusing him of his stutter coming back except for the media to try to make up for him not being able for slurring. He wasn't stuttering. He was slurring.
Yeah. Big.
Isn't it? You ever been to a bar, Jack, and somebody gets really drunk and they start stuttering their words?
Usually
Wait,
they
no.
just start slurring.
Yeah, he was slurring his words. He wasn't stuttering them. That's fucking nonsense.
on stage with Joe Biden, Jake,
But wait for this.
is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable.
You have
to watch
no
somebody on stage search for
that's so amazing.
questions
It's so amazing to me
and,
that
and try and figure out an answer.
a cognitive
But when
decline.
you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you
stuttering,
were mocking
I
his
had no
stutter.
idea, Joe
Yeah,
Biden.
I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have
What's my business,
absolutely no
Jake?
standing to diagnose
Wow.
somebody's cognitive decline. I would think.
This aged well.
Yeah, I don't think you need to have a PhD in anything in order to say that person's declining. Anybody that's been around somebody with dementia can recognize it.
You don't even have to be around somebody with dementia. You just have to know what it is and what the symptoms are to recognize it. Because
Yeah.
I've never been around somebody with dementia, Jack. The closest I've came is when I was on gabapentin. And that was close at times. I'm not going to lie to you.
Who am
But-
I?
But the smugness of this son of a bitch in this clip.
Oh,
You
they're all about appeal to authority, though.
You are in no position to make any. Hey, Jake, maybe if instead of, carrying water for Biden, you went, really? You think so? What, can you give me some examples of what happened? And I'll look into that. Maybe then you wouldn't look like the lying piece of shit that you are now.
Well, Monkey, he also would be a journalist then, and I mean, come on.
Nobody's going to accuse him of that.
Not
All
anytime
right.
soon.
So let's fast forward to Jakey's book coming out and CNN basically running commercials for him. Although what I love about this is he is reporting on a book he wrote, but instead of just saying, hey, here's what I wrote and what I think, he's reporting on Axios, reporting about his book.
There's something really disingenuous about that.
He also reports on, I think it's Politico, reporting on his book. It's instead of just going, hey, here's what we found, like, no, this is a news story because other people have talked about it. So obviously it's newsworthy.
Today reveals for the very first time what exactly.
Oh, I'm sorry. And the New Yorker. This is up as loud as it can go. I'm sorry, guys. Jake is kind of quiet in this one compared to the last one.
Motivated actor and director George Clooney to write his momentous op-ed calling on Biden to drop out of the presidential race, despite personally knowing him for more than 2 decades. And Clooney's
That is something that I hate how he just said that. His momentous op-ed, despite being friends with Joe for decades.
Traitor! Oh,
The fact that none of Joe's other friends, family, colleagues, former boss, none of these people stepped in and went, Joe, go sit down. You've done enough. It's too far. That speaks volumes about the kind of people that are involved here.
yeah,
And-
very true.
Let's not make any mistake about this. The only reason Clooney wrote that is because it was undeniable. Because by this time, Jack, we've already seen the debate. He didn't do this before the debate. Before the debate, they were all still denying that there was any problem, that it was just a cheap fake, that Obama had to help Joe off the stage because he got lost up there again. Am I
Little monkey,
supposed to
the
walk
Easter Bunny-
into the audience?
The Easter Bunny can't be everywhere, Monkey.
Fair.
Sometimes you got to rely on the former president to come in and fill the shoes of the Easter Bunny.
Wouldn't it be funny to find out that that's who was in the Easter Bunny costume?
That'd be hilarious.
They had to have Obama there because it's the only person Joe listens to. But how close of a friend could he have been to not notice? Well, here's the thing. He swears he noticed. I should just let this play because I don't want to get too far ahead of it. By the way, the reason that we're doing this video comes around the 7-minute mark. And then there's a mark way down here where I just jumped ahead to the talking bitches. That also annoyed me. I don't know if we're going to make it to them. But it's about the 7-minute mark. Something is said that made me go, nope, fuck it. We're doing this video. So hang in there, guys. We will get to it, but I will be interrupting in my normal style just because I can't help myself.
international fame as a movie star did not appear to recognize Clooney at that June 2024 fundraiser that Clooney was headlining, even after.
I just want to pause right there. You remember what we were told about this, right, Jack? That he was sharp as a tack at that thing. He was great. He was awesome, and there were no problems.
No problems at all.
This is what they told us until George Clooney writes his op-ed after the debate. And this is a man who saw Joe, has known him for decades, and Joe did not recognize him. Hey, Jack. Not recognizing somebody like that, that's a sign of
Stuttering.
Yes, stuttering. It is a known thing with stutterers. They forget who people are.
Yep.
A Biden aide told the president, quote,
Hi, I'm back.
You're welcome back.
Jesus Christ, it's gonna be.
I
one of
thought
those
it was
days.
me, but I'm not looking at the screen. So
Nah, it's all right. I'm keeping an eye on the screen, and when I see just ducks, I know it's me. All right.
Monkeys seeing ducks. Are they real?
I forgot their name. When my internet cuts out, it cuts the feed, so all I see is the duck B-roll playing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there were actual ducks. I wasn't having a Biden moment there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do they have names? Are they in the room with you now?
Thank you, Keldrig. Jake Tapper reporting on someone else's reporting on his book. Sounds like he enjoys himself too much. Maybe he should replace the T in his last name with a P. This is how it's actually not unusual for news people to do this. They'll do two things. Either they'll go on other people's shows to promote their book, or they'll do like Jake is doing here. This one is less common, but it does happen where they'll report on somebody reporting on their book. That way they can claim it's not just self-promotion. It's not just, the network giving them free advertising. Okay, where are we? Oh.
Alarmed. So was President Obama. So were other donors behind the scenes. Even Democratic Congresswoman Annie Kuster of New Hampshire, who saw the event on stage, which was not half as bad as what was going on backstage, came away thinking there was no way President Biden could serve another term. These brand new details.
And nobody said shit. All of these people knew, Jack. They all know now, right? Oh, we knew it was a problem at the time, but nobody said shit. F, I said F. I swear that said P. Look, it's my eyes, bro. I can't help it. That is an F, but there's a quote mark there, so yeah, it looked like a P. My bad. Thank you, Dangerous. Holy fuck, Jake. Do you think people only know to go to the hospital, their local doctor, if they have a medical degree? No, you dumb. Any person can recognize symptoms of something going wrong. Yes, that's actually a really good point. If you start coughing and there's no reason for you to be coughing, right? It's not like smoky or anything. And you're like, I'm not a doctor. Maybe I shouldn't go to the hospital because I don't know if I could be sick. I should just stay home and see what happens. But they love to play that line anytime somebody's like, you're diagnosing somebody. You're not a doctor. Like, yeah, his ankle is bent the wrong way. I'm pretty sure it's broke.
It made that loud cracking noise. I think, unless there's a phantom skeleton around somewhere, I think you broke something.
I'm not sure Papper's a word, but maybe it should be now. I was confused, Keldrig. I apologize. Your joke makes much more sense with Fapper. It really does. Although I really hate that term. I feel like when the youngins, because this was my children's generation that gave us fapping instead of beating off or choking the chicken or the fun ones we used to have for it. Spanking the monkey. You know what I mean?
Roughing up the suspect.
Yeah, we had clever names for it. And then these guys are like, fapping. Yeah, you guys are clever.
I mean, we did give the world Felcher.
I guess, but how do you take the fun out of beating off, man?
People find a way, dude. People find a way.
Anyway.
Was coming just hours after more stunning revelations in an excerpt published by Axios that aides were privately discussing putting President Biden in a wheelchair for his second term.
This is the Axios headline exclusive. Biden aides discussed wheelchair use if he were reelected, new book says. By the way, the new book is Tapper's new book, Original Sin, written by him and Alex Thompson. But you'll notice I love the way that they did this at the beginning here, Jack, because so far Jake hasn't mentioned his book, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at the book on the screen there, his name is covered up. So
that's very, very disingenuous.
yeah, he doesn't mention that it's his book, I think, for like another 2 minutes.
Wow. How deceptive can you get with your audience?
And if you notice the Axios writer's name right there, it's Alex Thompson, the other guy who wrote the book.
This is just dirty.
New book, not my new book says, new book says. How fucking gross are these people?
Well, I mean, look, a lot of them cite their own research papers when they're writing academic stuff, so it should be that surprising.
Hey, Dangerous, you went to school for journalism. What would your teacher say about journalism like this?
Yeah, the word ethics probably would come up a few times.
He is reporting on his book with an article written by his co-writer about their book. Oh, dirty little shitbags. I do love that. New book says. It's your book, dickhead. All right.
Because of his physical deterioration, sources telling me and Alex Thompson, the Biden's team, thought it was, of course, politically untenable to have the president in a wheelchair during his reelection bid. They took steps to try to protect him, in the images of his halting gait.
Jack, you remember how we sat around and our big worry was Biden's walk? I mean, we made fun of it from time to time, but was that your concern with Biden, is that he might not be able to walk anymore?
Not even close, dude. No.
My concern was that he couldn't fucking think.
Yeah, that he might give a command to the troops that would be not only like dangerous, but would be the wrong place. Like, yeah, attack that one, looks like a boot. That's Russia, right?
Including finding shorter walking paths, adding handrails to steps, using a smaller staircase to board Air Force One. Aides would also accompany Biden across the White House lawn to Marine One or from Marine One, not only to disguise what was going on, but in case.
All right, is there anybody here that didn't notice Biden was walking weird? That he was walking like his shoes were tied together?
He's walking like an old man. He's doing the old man shuffle.
Yeah.
You got to think about his steps very methodically or he falls, which we saw numerous times with him falling upstairs.
I have fallen upstairs before when I was, again, on my gabapentin.
Mm-hmm.
I never fell up 3 times in the same fall.
Well, I mean, you're not as acrobatic as Biden. He used to be part of this circus group called the Flying Graysons. And some thugs killed his parents. And that's when he met Bruce Wayne. And he fought alongside him for many years. Wait.
No, I think you're mixing up your origin stories.
I could see Biden claiming this, so I'm just going to go with it.
And that's when he fought for civil rights.
That's right. And he learned all about Puerto Rican values from Bruce Wayne and his trusty sidekick, Dynamite.
Do you remember when he fell off his bike?
Yeah.
And their whole thing was, hey, even good bicyclists fall from time to time. He fell from a standing position. He forgot to put his goddamn foot down.
Monkey, as Howie Day once told us, the poet philosopher Howie Day, even the best fall down sometimes. Even the wrong words seem to rhyme.
Sometimes they do seem to rhyme. I didn't notice his walk. How could you not, Black Romeo? He shuffled. He if you go back to 2019, he's still actually walking pretty decent then. By 2021, he is in full shuffle. And by 2024, the boy can barely get his foot off the floor.
If he wasn't so wealthy and powerful, he probably would have died by now.
Yes, probably, yeah.
But he's getting such good health care, especially as the president, that I don't doubt that that's helped extend his life quite a bit. Real quickly, though, thank you, Keldring. I take it back. Maybe Tapper is more appropriate because clearly both authors are tapping each other.
True.
Yeah, so the word fellatio comes to mind. Thank you, Keldring.
It's a dementia gate, as in walk, not conspiracy name, although that works too. Yeah, no. I can see it being tied to dementia. I can, but it also is something that happens just with old men with age. We start slowing down. The man's in his fucking 80s.
Yeah, your balance gets worse. You start getting like neuropathy in your legs. You can't feel your placement as well. So you're a little more unsteady. So you take shorter strides so you don't fall.
To be fair, I didn't notice, but I think it's because it's not abnormal for someone his age to walk like that. Yeah. But the thing is, they were still trying to pretend he was Superman.
Yeah, he's going to do push-ups and challenge everyone to eating contests or something.
And look what Tapper just said. They had him walk with other people to disguise it. Yeah, when everybody else is taking normal steps or having to slow theirs down real slow to match shuffles here, totally disguises it. If
like,
you're
nobody said they were doing a good job. That's just what they were doing.
But here's the thing. Notice it's that new book claimed it as though nobody noticed that he was having trouble fucking walking.
Oh, no. Only Jake Tapper noticed this in his infinite wisdom.
And in hindsight.
Yeah.
He fell. President Biden's doctor, White House physician Kevin O'Connor, warned behind the scenes that if Biden had one more serious fall, he might need to be in a wheelchair for his recovery. Dr. O'Connor.
This is the doctor who signed off on him as being perfectly healthy.
If he had had one more fall, he probably would have died from a broken hip. The man's frail.
But this doctor needs to have his license pulled. I just pointed at Joe's crotch. I didn't mean to do that, guys. Oh, good. You can't see. Oh, you can see my pointer, motherfucker. Anyway, damn it! I pointed at old man crotch. And this is a doctor who came out and told us that Joe was just great, perfect. He was fine. He better than Trump even. You know, except for everything we could see with our eyes.
You and your eyes always seeing things, noticing stuff. You monster.
If you go by the reports that doctor gave us about Joe Biden's health, I think I would rather go to Laura Trump for a diagnosis than whatever doctor that is.
Yeah, because that doctor's a liar.
He's either a liar or really bad at his job. And neither one of those is a good answer for your doctor. All right.
Had long worried about the toll the job had taken on Biden's health and joked behind the scenes that Biden staff members were trying to kill him while he was trying to keep him alive. In response to our latest reporting, a spokesperson for Biden told Axios, quote, medical exams made clear.
Did you catch that? He said our latest reporting, the spokespeople told Axios. Jake, you weren't listed as an author on that story.
No, but the other guy probably works for Axios.
The other guy does work for Axios, but Jake said our reporting.
Oh.
That wasn't his reporting. That's Axios. I'm getting at he's basically pulling a Biden here. He was supposed to be pretending that this was, there was some separation there.
Yeah.
That Biden had a stiffened gait caused in part by wear and tear to the spine, but that no special treatment was necessary and that it had not worsened. He was transparent about this, and it was far from severe. Yes, there were physical changes as he got older, but evidence of aging is not evidence of mental incapacity. And so far, we are still waiting for anyone, to point out where Joe Biden had to make a presidential decision or make a presidential address where he was unable to do his job because of mental decline. In fact,
how about the repeated times that the White House had to come out and apologize to China and go, he didn't mean what he said? Because that happened on at least 3 occasions, Jack.
Yeah. And he's made a couple other statements that went counter to the narrative. I think one was on Israel and maybe Iran or something. But I know there were a few times they had to clarify what he was saying, and it was
Yep.
completely opposite of what he said.
But no, point to any time he gave an address. The problem is you guys never actually address the problem.
Why would they want to do that?
The headlines would say has to clarify Joe's remarks again. And they're like, but there's nothing, I don't know what you're talking about. He's perfectly fine.
You're crazy.
When the media had to do a voiceover to say apparently Joe didn't mean it, that happened on at least 2 occasions.
In fact, the evidence points to the opposite. He was a very effective president, unquote. On that question of did it ever rear its head and affect a decision or his ability to do the job, to that, all I can say is stay tuned. But here now more.
I know you're not watching the screen, but right there, Jack, he just held up his book. All I can say to that is stay tuned. Sure. And notice again, he didn't mention his book. He still hasn't mentioned that it's his book, and we're 2.5 minutes into this report.
That is so disingenuous. That should have been disclosed immediately.
That should have been at the top of the story.
Yeah. And this type of segment needs to be at the end of the show, too, because it's so self-serving.
And in fairness, he may have done it on the show live. I am watching CNN's clip of this on CNN's YouTube channel. And at the beginning of it, there is no mention that this is his book. Thank you, Donald Camp, for that feminist $12. Monkey, was it your lying eyes or your happy hair that first saw old man dong? YouTube won't let me use the other word for happy. It was probably my gay hair that noticed that. I can say gay even if YouTube won't let you. Thank you for the donation, my friend.
Oh, heads up, if anybody's trying to cash at me, my phone is out of service right now, so I can't check it. So sorry in advance. Let me know in chat if you do that, though.
Cool.
The reporting about what was going on behind the scenes in the final weeks before President Biden bowed out of the 2024 presidential race.
This is another part that I have a problem with this. The final weeks before Joe dropped out. Is that as far back as you went?
Probably. They probably went from the debate when everybody noticed, allegedly. And those of us that have been talking about it for years were totally discounted.
If Joe Biden had a car accident on the way to the debate, the time frame for this would be fine. But he's been like this for half a fucking decade publicly.
Yep.
And they're like, we're just going to go back 3 weeks. They fooled us. It was those last 3 weeks. He was perfect until those last 3 weeks. He was the most cogent he'd ever been. And fuck you if you think it. That is what Joe Scarborough said. And F you if you think differently.
It was an earth-shattering political moment.
President Joe Biden has just announced that he is dropping out of the 2024 presidential race.
Ignited by President Biden's disastrous CNN debate performance.
Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
And according to excerpts first.
They really should have played Trump going, I don't know what he said, and he doesn't know what he said.
Yeah, that was great.
Reported in the New Yorker magazine from the new book, Original Sin. I wrote with Axios' Alex Thompson.
We are 3 minutes in when he says the book I wrote with Alex Thompson. This dirty little shit. Keldrick, thank you. Jake. Oh, wait, that's the one I already read. I saw one just came through and I refreshed and it didn't refresh. So I apologize. But still, thank you again, Keldrick. Jake Tapper, thank you so much. In CNN's communist utopia, all journalism belongs to everybody. Ergo, Axios reporting is my reporting. Except for Brian Stelter reporting, that baked potato journalism just doesn't taste right. Also, the man on the screen is lying. Biden is cogent. That's what I've been told. That's what I have been told. Yeah. I really wanted the Brian Stelter clip on this, but I couldn't find it. And maybe it's somewhere tucked into this CNN thing. But he is, in his clip, Jack, he's acting like nobody could have known. Like, nobody saw this coming.
No, it's so well hidden, Monkey. If he didn't see it, how could a rube like you find it, right?
It's like one day Joe Biden was up there explaining quantum physics in perfect, eloquent speech. And then the next day it was just like he had that debate and something must have happened on the way to the debate.
Something happened on the way to the debate.
This is CNN's news reporter who reports on the news. Like this is how the news is doing. And he's like, yeah, I don't know. You know what they're not doing? Nobody's over there going, hey, Fox News got it right the few times they talked about it.
Oh, they're never going to do that over there.
Nobody's giving Gutfeld a bunch of props for this or Jesse Waters or any of the other guys who actually had the balls to say it out loud.
Oh, why would they want to do that?
Thompson, before his op-ed calling on the president to resign shocked the world, one of Hollywood's biggest stars was privately alarmed about the president's fitness. This was weeks before the debate.
I just want to clarify that Jake just told us that event was weeks before the debate, which means Jake should have went back, probably at least 5 weeks for his book instead of just 3.
5 years.
But George finally came out because he thought it was really important.
Was a civic duty.
Look at that hair dye job. That is terrible.
Yeah, it's for whatever his play is that he's doing. So Long, You Good Night or whatever.
Oh yeah, what is it? Murrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But did you hear what he just said? Civic duty.
Sure, George. Sure. Let's go with that story.
If you really believe that it was your civic duty, why did it take until after the debate for you to write that? Was it just not a civic duty until that point? Thank you, Brian Stelter. Tune into CNN Reliable Sources tomorrow, where I spend 60 minutes explaining how Biden's sudden and unexpected decline into dementia is Trump's fault. No, in fairness to Brian doesn't blame everything on Trump. Who does Brian blame everything on?
Fox News and Tucker Carlson.
Fox News and Tucker Carlson. Yes, sir.
Because I found that when I saw people on my side of the street not telling the truth, I thought that was time to.
Are people still mad?
For at least a couple weeks before the debate, you saw people on your side not telling the truth, and you didn't say shit until after the debate and after other people started saying, maybe this isn't the right guy. And now he's getting pats on the back for having the balls to say it. Several other people were already saying it.
Yeah.
The only thing George has done here is expose the media. He didn't expose Biden. We all saw Biden. And other people were already saying, ooh, no.
And up until then, Clooney was, I think this is retroactively added. I think Clooney was supporting him until he saw that debate performance.
He was.
Because so many of these people were willing to overlook the dementia starting, but once it reached a certain point, you couldn't hide it anymore. And that's when they started jumping like rats from a sinking ship.
Good night and good luck. That's what it is. Thank you, Dangerous.
Are you for that?
Some people, sure. It's okay.
The book is based on more than 200 interviews, mostly with Democratic insiders, almost all of which occurred after the 2024 election was over, and has new behind-the-scenes revelations from the star-studded Hollywood fundraiser, and jarring details about what Clooney, a staunch Biden ally and longtime friend, saw of the president's condition. Backstage at the
Remember, he said it was his civic duty. Maybe me and George just have different ideas of our civic duties. Because if I thought something was a civic duty, I wouldn't wait almost a month before I said shit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let people get slandered as liars and cheap fakers. I wouldn't be out there letting, the entirety of this network right here that you just shook hands with that dirty piece of shit and go out there and call everybody liars for saying that Joe Biden had to be let off stage, which we could all see.
Yeah. I think Faithless is right. Once they realized that Biden couldn't beat Trump in his current state, he was done. He was out.
There were people who were wanting him out before that, but
yeah,
that
but they
was
were the more left-leaning wing.
Look, make no mistake, Joe Biden was their best choice.
Yeah, he just could not physically do it anymore. Trump was running circles around him.
That there's going to come a time in this where they're going to say that Biden screwed the Democrats. That is not true. This isn't 1856 election. I think that would have been an election year. This is 2024, where you had instantaneous. Kamala Harris did more campaigning in 2024 than Joe did in 2020.
Well,
the whole
media
nonsense
ran his campaign.
Well, they basically ran hers too.
Yeah,
but
it was just the anti-Trump campaign.
The whole nonsense about, it was only 104 days to campaign. This isn't way back in the day where you had to run your own printing press and go door to door to literally every house and jump on a train to get your name out there as you went across the country. Her name was immediately well known.
If anything, her shortened period of campaigning helped her.
True.
Because you saw how terrible she was at public speaking and how often she looked, shall we say, inebriated.
Do you know how much worse her campaign would have been if she had a 6-month cycle instead of a 3-month cycle?
Oh, she would have lost like Mondale.
We've been telling you guys this over and over. The more people saw her, the more they hated her. And this goes way back to 2020. Well, 2019, because she drops out before 2020.
Yeah, she dropped out before the first vote.
She was the heir apparent. She's the new Hillary. She's going to win it all. And then she couldn't even manage with 40 million in the bank.
Yeah, and she's apparently super difficult to work for.
Yeah. So they should be on their knees thanking Joe Biden for making it as close as it was.
Yeah. Real quickly, thank you, Keldrick. Biden may not have screwed the Democrats. Their kids, on the other hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sniffed them all.
I don't know if I care to watch this. Okay, so they're just going to read excerpt from the book, and it just goes over what he already talked about with not recognizing George Clooney. So George goes up to him and is like, hey, and Biden's like, who's this?
Hey, little fella.
And his aide goes, you know George? And Biden goes, I do? It's George Clooney. And then he goes, oh, hi, George. Yeah, that totally meant he suddenly noticed or knew who he was still.
Yeah, not like, oh, yeah, hi, George?
It's not like when I go to Walmart and run into somebody who used to work for me and they're like, hi, Frank. And I'm like, hi, how are you? Because I have no idea who they are.
Yeah. Oh, we've all done that.
Well, I mean, I supervised over 100 people, and turnover in cashiers is pretty quick.
Yeah.
And so there's a ton of people that I probably knew their name at some point, but fuck if I know it now. I recognize them. That counts as for something, right? I've seen you before. Were you on a wanted poster? Q, thank you so much. Ignoring partisanship entirely, it's incredibly narcissistic for Clooney to call himself a friend of Biden when he didn't publicly speak up at the dementia patient clearly being used as a puppet in the administration. He wasn't capable of running. True. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to point out that celebrities have a different concept of what friends are. They're
Oh, yeah.
people that are useful to you until they're not.
Same with politicians.
Yeah, that's
So,
why
I mean-
they go hand in hand so well.
Yeah, there's a reason that all of these people were willing to have a puppet president. Remember, he was like this the whole time. They all knew it. They all fucking knew it. Nobody was confused and thought he was a Rhodes Scholar. And like, is he drooling again? Quick, wipe that up before somebody sees it and we lose our access to power. It's just like nobody was buying Hunter Biden's paintings because they thought he was a great artist.
What? What? How dare you, sir? He is an artiste.
Yeah, that's why all of his sales have dried up since his daddy's out of office.
Oh, yeah. He will be
What's
remembered along with Da Vinci and Michelangelo. In fact, the next Ninja Turtle is going to be named after him.
Crackhead? I think that's a bad name for a turtle.
I don't know. You don't know what kind of turtle he is. He might be a crackhead turtle.
Right.
He's the one that the mutation didn't go right, if you know what I'm saying.
He was smoking crack when he stepped in the ooze.
Yeah.
All right.
He's not even a turtle. He just thinks he is.
It's the real secret of the ooze. It came out of Hunter.
Yo.
Uncomfortable. George Clooney,
Yeah, I agree.
the aide clarified for the president. Oh, yeah, Biden said. Hi, George. And weeks later, after
There's a couple of points during that. I should have played it all, I guess. But where Jake Tapper's reading the text and he actually kind of does a Joe Biden imitation. Oh, wait, what?
after the monumental debate, when Clooney wrote about what he witnessed, it sent shockwaves throughout the political world. Quote,
Actually, it didn't. It was mostly meaningless. By that time, there had already been the calls for him to step aside. Clooney might have pushed a couple of people, but they're like trying to give all the credit here to Clooney. And I really don't think he was that important to the conversation. And a whole bunch of people discounted him. A whole bunch of people were like, no, I don't believe George. No, he's, and they're the same ones who now are like, see, Biden was the best chance to win, which he was, but he still would have lost. The shock was that he admitted it out loud. There was no danger in admitting it out loud at that point. It'd be like, let's say there's a building people really like, and it looks like it's going to fall down, but everybody really likes it and doesn't want it to go away. And you see the roof cave in, and then you go, I think that building needs torn down. It's dangerous. It's inevitable. At that point, we had all seen the debate. Saying it out loud at that point was, there was no heroism in that. There was no.
No, if he had done it before the campaign season started, that'd be a different thing altogether.
If he would have done it the night of or the next day of that star-studded campaign fundraiser, I'd give him credit. But he waited until after the debate. Like, oh, she's already pregnant. I guess we can't unfuck her. Might as well just admit she's pregnant. Anyway.
we got so screwed by Biden as a party, David Plouffe, who helped run the Harris campaign, told us.
Yeah, David Plouffe is a fucking retard then. Again, this isn't an old-time campaign. This isn't even like the 80 campaign, you know. This is, we have instantaneous news 24/7.
Yeah, the internet has changed the world.
Yep. They could probably get campaigns down to a month and be fine.
Yeah.
By deciding to run for re-election and then waiting more than 3 weeks after the debate to bow out, Plouffe added, quote, he totally effed us.
He didn't actually use the word effed. As you saw.
Yeah, we got that by you blurring out the word on the screen.
Yeah, we guessed that one, Jake. Thanks for over-explaining the joke. God, hate people like that. Oh, you're so dumb. I have to explain this. Durr.
But again, that's not what happened. This is the Democrats are so opposed to the idea that there's anything wrong with their ideology that they finally think they have something to blame. Joe Biden should have stepped out sooner and he just screwed everybody over. Or Joe Biden never should have dropped out because it really wasn't that big of a deal. Which, notice that one has died off a lot more.
Well, I mean, his decline was so obvious that they can't really sustain that argument anymore. They're going to blame two things. They're going to blame Biden. Oh, three. Biden, COVID, and Trump. Trump's magatard cult of personality Hitler Youth did it. COVID screwed us. And of course, Biden screwed Kamala so bad because he hates women.
Chicago Mike, thank you. George, are you related to Rosemary Clooney? She was in that new movie called White Christmas with that young man, Bing Crosby. Joe Biden. Yeah, no shit. I know Rosemary.
I spoke with George Clooney recently about his new play, Good Night and Good Luck, which is set entirely in 1954 until the very end, where there's a montage of news clips, including misleading statements from Republicans about the 2020 election and misleading statements from Democrats about Biden's acuity. And Clooney told me that those clips from Democrats were important for him to include alongside the Republican lies. He said it's important for journalists and others to speak truth to power no matter which party you support, and to remind people.
I don't know how lightning didn't hit him right there. Granted, he's talking about what Clooney said, but I mean, Clooney is right. If you're a reporter, you're supposed to put your biases aside and just, speak the truth.
Yeah. Right.
Your whole book is about how they lied to you, when it should be all about how either you lied to the public or you're exceptionally stupid and nobody should ever listen to you. We just saw that clip. We watched it at the top of this of him talking to Laura Trump back in like 2019 or 2020. And him, you have no right to be talking about how he's mentally challenged.
Or his
And now he's
how dare you mock the stuttering?
George said it was important for him to criticize everybody because your job is to speak truth to power. Well, yeah. You guys love to hide behind that speaking truth to power shit, except for when you're not doing it because you like the guy in power.
And a lot of times it's their idea of speaking truth to power is just lying.
Yeah. But notice how he called it. He specifically called it Republican lies. He didn't call it Democrat lies.
Or media lies. No.
No. What did I just... Oh, there it is. Thank you, FL. Man, I can't stand all these young whippersnappers, 60-year-olds, not taking advice from their seniors. They're 80 to 90 years old. Yeah, the whippersnappers, I actually had a whippersnapper moment the other day.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you about, yeah. Just one of those moments where I was like, kid. Fucking kids.
In Clooney's words, quote,
real
that's
quick,
how Trump won.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Evolved Potato. You need a soul to be hit by lightning. In this scenario, and journalists don't have souls. That's a fair point.
Oh, I thought lightning just punished liars and hypocrites.
No, that's spontaneous pantal combustion.
I want to get this part of what Clooney said. Listen.
To remind people, in Clooney's words, quote, that's how Trump won.
Trump did not win because Democrats lied about Joe Biden being mentally unstable. That's not why Trump won. This This is another part of my problem with this, Jack. If you look at the polling that was done, it wasn't that people didn't like that the media lied about Joe Biden. That wasn't even a question on any of the polls. It was their DEI nonsense, their immigration nonsense, their trans nonsense. But see what the Democrats are doing here. Joe screwed us, and because the Democrats were lying to the press. Yeah, that's what they were doing. Then that's why Trump won. No, Trump won because of shit like 3 million known illegals being allowed into the country. And by the way, that number is ridiculously low. Dangerous, thank you again, Jake. Fuck off. You excused the decline that we all saw by referencing Joe's stutter or using talking points like cheap fakes. You can't actively excuse a decline and also say you never saw it. Hey, yes, he can. He's a news reporter.
They lie all the time.
He doesn't need the truth. He's got opinions. He's got ideology. He doesn't need truth.
He's got a network in a studio. Do you have a studio? No.
Let's bring in CNN's team of reporters who extensively covered President Biden. CNN's Phil Mattingly, Arlette Saenz.
Extensively covered Biden. Go fuck yourself, Jake. I mean, I can't say that they covered him any less than any other network, but I don't think extensively means the same thing that to Jake that it means to me.
Probably not.
And MJ Lee. Phil, let's start with you. Put this into perspective, why this matters about President Biden's acuity. No one, by the way, is alleging that this is how he is 24/7. Obviously, he's capable of having a conversation. The issue.
That's the part where I went, nope, we got to talk about this.
He's obviously capable of having a conversation. With what? A toddler?
We saw over and over again that the man couldn't have a conversation. We read the transcripts of his interview.
Oh,
which
they burn his wiener off.
Did you see the Trump administration is talking about releasing that? Oh,
I hope they do.
Please do. But it's not like Joe was like fading in and out. By the time the election comes around, say early January of 2024, Joe's fucking gone. Every time they put him in front of a camera, they had to do more jump cuts than a fucking Phil DeFranco show. Right. I know, he's perfectly fine. Who was it? The Stephanopoulos one. Remember that? Where this motherfucker, they had to cut everything up, or as Dangerous pointed out earlier, speak over him to tell you what he was really trying to say. But anyway, I shouldn't talk about that. I'll get in trouble again. He couldn't even give a speech where all he had to do was read.
Oh, man. Enter stage left. Ha, enter.
Nobody's saying he was like this all the time. No, because people with dementia until the very end, they still have some moments of clarity, but not many. He did not have many moments of clarity, Jack. And even though the ones that he did, even the times where he seemed maybe this will be a good one, give it 2 minutes and suddenly Joe was out in left field.
Yeah.
Like what is he talking about now? Oh, we killed Medicaid.
Is that there were increasing number of situations like this where he couldn't recall names or events where he had difficulty with his train of thought. And it was
he waved to people who weren't there.
He tried to shake hands with a ghost. Remember that? He turned to shake somebody's hand. There's nobody fucking there. And he's looking like he's looking at somebody. Like, dude, you are knocking on death's door.
They had to give him pictures to show him how to walk along a curtain, through a curtain, and up to a podium. They didn't even draw him a map, Jack. They had actual pictures so he knew what he would be seeing.
That is so sad, man. Let's not forget the Easter Bunny.
And this is a man who got lost on his own lawn repeatedly on the lawn of a fucking mansion.
It reminds me of that scene in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. He gets lost in his own museum.
Yes. This is a guy who got lost literally on the steps of his house. He had to turn to his right to see the door he needed to go through and had to have a Marine escort him because he got fucking lost. Oh, it wasn't all the time. He was cogent. He's mostly cogent. All right. If I remember correctly, this guy pisses me off too. And it was after he said something that I stopped and like, yeah, I'm just doing it live.
Call names or events where he had difficulty with his train of thought.
And it was the increasing number, I think, that we've learned mostly after the fact, as you're reporting now.
What?
This is what happens when you only get your news from CNN.
We've been reporting on these moments for like 5 years.
Yeah. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I can't say that I saw a ramp up of it. Each one might have gotten worse, but they were happening with the same frequency throughout. It's just by the end.
Regularity wasn't different, but the obviousness might have been worse.
Yeah. Where back in 2019, he might have, lost his train of thought once or twice during a speech. By the end, it was the whole fucking speech. But it was every speech. Every time this motherfucker talked, he screwed up. Every time.
Yeah.
That was what was viewed as most problematic when you think about somebody who was running to run the country for an additional 4 years. This wasn't something for next month. This wasn't something for 6 months from now. This was to run the country for the next 4 years. And I think
and see, this is the problem. And one of the reasons that they can't be let off on this, he was like this for the 4 years he was in power. And now they're like, yeah, suddenly we realized if 4 more years of this would just be too much. Oh, thank God those first 4 years were flawless. Like, were we living in the same country?
I don't think we were in the same timeline. This must be one of those universal merges that creates a Mandela effect.
Was he like from Earth 616 or something?
Maybe. I think he thinks he was.
Oh.
Where his Mr.
difficulty
Magoo powers were useful.
candidly in covering it, but I think also for a lot of Democrats outside the very tight-knit and very small inner circle was the ability to actually see it and experience it on a regular basis because there weren't a lot of face-to-face interactions or close interactions in that regard, which made it.
I've never had a single close interaction with Joe Biden. I can't say that we've ever even been in the same state at the same time. And I could see it.
I think what he's trying to imply is that the inner circle tried to deceive everyone, so they're off the hook. They're washing their hands of it this way.
That's exactly what they're doing. That's what Jakey did with his little book there. Like, we were lied to. Name the book Original Sin. You dirty bitch. Yeah, the original sin is the press's incestuous relationship with the DNC.
Oh, I thought it was some crazy bitch eating an apple and then trying to get her boyfriend to do it, and then they got kicked out of their house.
That's the religious original sin. This is the Biden original sin. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, the inner circle came out and said, no, Joe's fine, which, by the way, I don't blame them for. I think it's disgusting and wish they would have a little more compassion for the man and maybe a little more love for their country, but I understand how politics work.
Yeah, but notice how they didn't say anything about their lack of questioning as to why the president was always unavailable.
Not just that. Anytime that people would point it out, like Jakey in his interview with Laura Trump, they would attack the people who brought it up.
Yep.
This is how we got the whole cheap fake thing.
Yep.
Joe Biden kept wandering off. And they were like, what are you talking about? It's that he had to fart and he was just being polite to the group.
He was inspecting the quality of the stage assembly. What are you talking about?
This is why as bad as I think the Biden administration was and those people were, the real story here is the media. It's the same reason I hate them for 2020. And even if you don't think the election was rigged with actual balloting stuff, it was clearly rigged by the press. They never once questioned that man on anything.
Why would they want to do that?
This is a guy that was hidden. Trump had COVID and did more shit than Biden did.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is the press will never admit their own bias, ever.
Nope.
So they always have to find somebody else to blame. And in this case, they have a perfect scapegoat by blaming the inner circle that was protecting Biden.
Yeah, this isn't like with Reagan. Look, by the end, Reagan clearly had dementia.
Yeah.
But he actually was hidden away. Nancy did a good job of keeping everybody away from him. That's not good for the country because, again, we had somebody with dementia running things.
Yeah. Well, Woodrow Wilson was the same way. He had a stroke, and his wife was signing things for him. She was basically de facto president for a while.
Look at how they talk about Reagan and his dementia compared to how they do with Biden and his. The press had no problem questioning, wait, he clearly has Alzheimer's or something.
Yeah. Well, it's different when it's their team.
Yeah. With Biden, they're like, no, we all drool on ourselves constantly. That's normal. Look at that.
He saw somebody with some luscious hair. That's all.
Look at that look on Biden's face. He doesn't even know where he is right there.
Who are you? Why are you yelling at me? He looks like a little kid, like a lost child.
And don't forget, right after this, the press spin was, yeah, he didn't have a very good one, but Trump lied. That was their whole thing. And that's why they put Joe Biden up there. I think it's one of the bitches that talks later, where she's like, see, they put him up there for the debate. So that shows they really did think he was smart. No, they didn't. They knew that they thought he could do a little better than he did. But they knew that the media was going to cover for him. And it's exactly, go look at the headlines from the day after the debate. It takes several days for Joe's performance to actually become the main story.
Yeah. Well, so many people still said he did a great job.
Yep.
And they had him hopped up on a ton of drugs. It was pretty obvious that they had him all hopped up, just like the Dark Brandon speech. But you couldn't get away from the fact that he's in such a state of mental decline. Those drugs only work for so long.
You answered all the questions, Joe. Yeah, that is something that was actually said.
Yeah, by Jill. You answered all the questions. Good job, buddy. Gold star.
But he didn't. Thank you, Dangerous. Do you want answers? I think I'm entitled to it. Do you want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth, so thank you for tuning in to CNN. Oh, Christ.
It's so critical for those who were so close around him to share what was actually happening to the extent they were concerned about it. I think the question was, how concerned was the inner circle really, given how protective they were? And I think,
why wasn't the press concerned?
Because they don't care. As long as somebody's doing the policies they want, they don't give a damn who's running things.
And how come none of you who, after the debate, suddenly realized Joe had some serious problems, not one of you motherfuckers were like, he needs to step down? None of them said that, Joe. Sorry, Jack.
Biden. What? Well, they didn't say it because they wanted to beat Trump. It's all about team sports. Again, they don't care who's actually sitting in the chair. It's whoever's signing the paperwork for the policies they want. And they could have a proxy do it, just like we learned with a lot of these pardons. Somebody was using an auto pen. So they just needed that Weekend at Bernie's moment.
But they actually would have a point, kind of, if Joe had stepped down and Kamala was having to run a shortened campaign and be interim president for a couple of months. But instead, they all slowly are like, yeah, maybe Joe's getting a little slower. Even now, Jake Tapper just a moment ago, nobody's saying he was like this all the time. Fuck you, I am. I've been saying it. We've been saying that shit for years.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty obvious. What they should have done, honestly, is he should have resigned and Kamala taken over. That should have happened for the good of the country. But they don't give a shit about the good of the country. They care about their team.
Yes, absolutely. Jack, will you talk to the folks for a minute? I'll be right back.
Sure. Hi, sexy people. What y'all doing out there? Bush poisoned Reagan. I really won't be surprised. Biden won't not go away. Oh, he's like a turd. He's floating. Oh, just doing sexy stuff? Nice. That's what I try and do too. Actually, I was looking for a box of DVDs that I lost. I don't remember where I put them. So I gotta go find those. I think I might have accidentally put them in the storage unit. That's the kind of day I'm having. Nobody's saying he was like this all the time. Presidency's a 24/7 job, Jake. That should disqualify Joe. You would think so, but here we are. Those auto pens are valid. Yeah, that's supposed to go before some federal judge, Evil One. So I know there's a lot of questions about those last minute pardons, especially. So we'll see. Hey, Alan, how you doing? What's going on the road? Thanks for dropping links, Brand. Appreciate it. Yeah, there's so many questions about the legality of some of the stuff that was done under Biden that they're never going to address. Shit, we can't even get them to arrest the Congress people that were breaking into the ICE facility. They're just going to try and censure them. Oh, we wrote a little letter that says you were bad for assaulting the cops. Fucking assholes. Useless Republicans.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
I think importantly, and I think you guys point this out, how deeply they believed in him, his ability to come back after so many times when it seemed like he was down for the count.
So Arlette.
Now he's the comeback kid, Jack.
Ew.
Here's another excerpt from the New Yorker about the fundraiser. Quote, Clooney was certainly not the only one concerned. Other high-dollar attendees who posed for photographs with Obama and Biden described Biden as slow and almost catatonic. Though they saw pockets of clarity while watching him on television on stage later that night, there were obvious brain freezes and clear signs of a mental slide. It was, to some of them, terrifying. One of the things that's...
This is the kind of shit we saw over and over and over and over and over and over again that people like Jake have ignored for half a decade.
Yep.
The things that they just described right there were Biden freezes. That's not new. And this is the kind of shit that they cheap fake. That's the wording that the White House told us to use.
The most concerning thing was when he would do these on diplomatic missions.
Yes.
Like, not just when he pooped his pants hanging out with the Pope, but he did that where they were in some foreign country and he'd be talking to the press and just drift off.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. Seriously, I'm shocked we weren't invaded.
Yeah, conspiracy theorists. That's what, yeah, we were all loons. And they've tried doing the same thing with Trump. Remember when they tried saying that Don Jr. had to help Trump off the stage? And that was because they took a single moment where Don comes over and his dad, they just hold hands for a second, then Trump walks off the stage on his own.
Yeah, they were just sort of like shaking hands in a weird way.
Yeah, he was just showing love to his dad.
Yeah,
and the media's... And they all look, he's got problems too.
Well, look, Trump is pretty old. So if he needs help off the stage, I don't fucking care. It's not a consistent thing with Trump. There was the one time that he had to kind of shuffle down that ramp, that metal ramp. And that's because he was wearing dress shoes and they have no traction. And he didn't want to fall. I mean, anybody would do that if they're anywhere near that age, because you break a hip, you're going to probably croak. So
I would do
don't
that.
have to, yeah, right?
As a young man, even in my 20s, if you're wearing dress shoes and it is a shiny metal surface that you have to walk on down an incline, you're going to slide.
Yeah. Your odds are dramatically improved that you're going to slip if you're wearing dress shoes. And the Marines and other soldiers that were there, they wouldn't have had a problem. They're wearing different type of shoes.
And again,
they're also significantly younger.
I'm not as concerned about their physical ability. They're not going to the Olympics to represent us.
Yeah, we don't live in a time where your leader has to go fight in man-to-man combat against the foreign rival.
Right. Anyway.
Remarkable about this, though, is so many of them refused to share any of this until after the election.
I don't want to swear, you guys, but are you fucking kidding me? They refused to share it. Jakey, how many people did your network absolutely slander? That's what it was. It was just slander, libel, actually, because it was spoken. How many people did you guys libel when they pointed out all this shit over the years, and you guys were like, "Nuh-uh." There's only two. I thought slander or libel's written, right?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Anyway,
you're good.
I lost my train of thought because you corrected me.
They probably did both. I'm sorry. I totally derailed you there. You threw me off.
No, you were right, though. Oh, what I was getting to, there's only two possibilities here. And this isn't an either or. Either you really are that goddamn dumb. I don't think you are. I think you're smarter than that. So the other option is you're a fucking liar. It's actually better in this case to be an idiot, because then at least you didn't know. Then you thought, they're stupid. But what you're doing is just lying to people.
I think we both know that they're just disingenuous frauds, though, because they're doing this to cover for themselves and their own bias. They don't want to look biased by running interference for the Democrats after they took a major loss, because they want to have some form of integrity left with the remaining independents that watch them.
And you know what? It'll work.
That's because really sad.
Well, the kind of people who watch CNN are the kind of people who think, oh, they wouldn't lie to us on purpose. They were lied to. It's not there. They speak truth to power.
Because they were convinced, okay, but the alternative's Trump. And that justifies everything.
Yeah, and that really drove a lot of President Biden's reason for re-election, that he thought one who he beat Trump back in 2020 and could do it again in 2024. But he was surrounded by a very close-knit group of advisors.
Okay, no, stop. No. Biden chance still wasn't a good chance. You would have to that presupposes that Biden could have that thought. And by the election time, there's no way this guy's having any kind of deep thoughts. What integrity? These fuckers have been lying since 2016. 2016, my ass. Go back and look at their coverage of the original Gulf War.
That itself had also drawn a lot of criticism in the past, that they hadn't let in new voices. And these advisors had really worked very carefully to manage the stagecraft of his presidency.
Yeah, to the point where they were giving him pictures to know where to walk, and they still couldn't hide it. This is the part that, this is what bugs me so much about it, Jack. It was on display. And they keep acting like there was no possible way to see this. They just did such a
no.
It was such good stagecraft. Was it?
It was just a small cluster of people that we can ostracize because they're no longer useful to us, and we can blame them and take the heat off ourselves. We were duped. Where are the victims here?
I see what you mean, Monk Point 10. Yeah, look, the news has been lying since before I was born, man. And CNN, what made CNN a household name? Yeah, they fucking lied a whole bunch during that. They were running defense for Saddam during that thing.
Going back to, as you talked about, the walks to Marine One, using that smaller stairs, set of stairs on the Air Force One. I think back to the foreign trips when they.
How did they use smaller stairs on Air Force One? Do they mean that the stairs just were shorter between each other?
I think so.
Or were they lifting this motherfucker up on a fork truck for half of his trip and then he had to walk stairs the rest of the way?
I think it would be awesome if they had like a lift for that. I think that'd be a much better way to do it. Because I don't want to watch the president wander up a flight of stairs for 10 minutes. That's boring.
I feel like they should have a lift anyway. Otherwise, Air Force One is not ADA compliant.
That's a good point. Biden's got a good lawsuit.
Yeah, he does.
They said that he would not attend the dinners that would typically be held with foreign leaders. All of this was a lot of efforts to manage Biden's schedule, especially.
And you guys didn't question any of it.
Why would they want to do that?
How can their viewers listen to this and be like, oh, yeah, they did hide that really well? If they hid it well, you guys wouldn't know that shit was happening. They were in your face about this going all the way back to the 2019 election when they were putting lids on shit at 9:30 in the fucking morning. Oh, they put a lid on it. I just cannot believe the balls on these people to sit here and pretend like they didn't know.
Well, they have to. It's about their perception of integrity. They have to lie to cover for themselves. That's all this is. This is just
what they should do, though, is just shut the fuck up.
You would think so, but when has that ever worked on the left?
Do you mean that they actually did that, or that they did it and it worked out well for them?
Well, they did it and it worked out well for them.
Anytime they do it, they control the media.
I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying, but I think that the larger the fuck up, the more they talk about it to cover it up. They're like little kids. They can't stop themselves.
Well,
there's no impulse control anymore.
In this case, it's about their ego because they took a huge bruise on this one. This is a bruise that they have never experienced before. Not in the Nixon case, not in the riots with the burning building and mostly peaceful.
Yeah.
This was years of them defending Biden, calling anybody who pointed out the obvious liars and conspiracy theorists, and then Joe having to drop out. That's a black eye to them, not to him. And so this is them trying to, their ego is like, no, you guys still love us, right? And instead, what they should do is just shut the fuck up and let it blow over.
Yeah, well, that's what they should do in most cases, but
yeah.
Especially as he increased in age and started to show some signs of that physical deterioration.
Jesus Christ. Started the show.
Yeah, it started the show. Physical deterioration. She specifically said physical. His mental decline was much more noticeable way sooner.
Notice that George Clooney didn't write about how Joe Biden was shuffling around. He wrote about how the guy didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
But they keep trying to take it back to this. Yeah, the stagecraft and shorter stairs.
Well,
fuck off.
They're using weasel words like that so they have an out. So if anybody calls them on it, oh, we didn't address that. We were talking about his physicality.
Right? This is some disingenuous bullshit. They are weaving the two together as though everybody laughed at him falling up the stairs. The meme of Trump hitting the golf ball and it hitting him, it's fucking wonderful.
Classic.
But nobody was saying Joe should step down because he fell off his bike or because he fell up the stairs. It was the shit he was trying to say and couldn't get out.
Yeah. Gerald Ford notoriously tripped over stuff all the time, even if it wasn't there.
Yeah.
But the media gave him a ton of shit for it, but nobody was like, you need to resign because you can't walk.
All right.
So there's behind the scenes, the stuff that Clooney and others saw where he was just shockingly awful. Then he went on stage at that event and was just like vaguely awful, not as shocking.
What were you watching, Tapper?
I love this. He went on stage and he was only a little bit awful. How many of you guys said he was even a little bit awful on CNN? How many? Instead, you guys were like, no, how dare you suggest that he had to have help off the stage? That's what you guys went to. And remember, him getting help off of stage had nothing to do with his gait. It was about the fact that he was fucking lost on stage again.
Yeah, he was mentally gone, didn't know where to go or what to do. It wasn't just his shuffling.
Yeah.
That was a minor part of it. But they're focusing on that because then they can say that's when it started.
Yep. Dirty lying bastards.
Rewriting history.
She kind of looks like that chick from Big Little China.
Yeah, she's looking at me
Knocking
kind of
inside.
judgmentally. It's a little bit of a hot turn on.
Yeah. She looked like she's going to throw some lightning at Jake.
Yeah.
But certainly every day of his 81 years. At the end of the fundraiser, he walks to the edge of the stage. He stares kind of blankly at the crowd. President Biden turns back. He grabs Biden's arm, guides him off stage. Obama later explained that, like, no, he was.
Yeah. What? What, Ebony? What'd I do? What'd I do? I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do nothing. I'm a good boy. Hi, Comrade Kitty. Monkey disappear? I think Monk vanished. He'll be back in a minute. Corey Feldman, what? Angry Giant. Oh, what's going on? Where's Monkey? I don't know. I think he was abducted by Carmen Sandiego. All by myself. One of these days I'll stop singing that, but probably not. I don't know what you did, Jack, but I know it's your fault. Yeah, probably. I mean, I rule nothing out. So what are you guys doing? Anything exciting? Is it Jack show now? I don't know. Maybe. Or you enabled it to happen? Yeah, that's actually quite possible, Jordan. I am his enabler. That is in the contracts that we don't have. I'm so lonely. You guys do anything fun last day or so? Because I haven't. You're at work? Ew. Watched Yellow Flash talk about his comic and Eric issue. Oh, I haven't watched anything from Yellow Flash in a long time. Monkey's advanced stealth capabilities. Yeah, he's really good at it. Hey, what's up, Hey Camel? So I showed up in time for Sunshine Stream. Yeah, except I can't present anything. So that kind of sucks. That's true, Ebony. What do you think about Windows 10 running out? I think it's a crock of shit because now my Microsoft Office won't work, and I didn't pay for the monthly subscription. I bought the lifetime, but they still shut it down anyway. It's doing all sorts of nasty stuff to my computer. It keeps screwing it up. It's bad enough that Chrome needs an update like every other day. You gotta wake up early for work for a webinar. Ew. Oh, well, have fun, dude. That sounds awful. Moved a lot of firewood uphill. That sucks. Still running Office 2007. Nice. I have an old copy of Microsoft Office 2000 that I used for probably 15 years. And then whatever they did with Windows 9, I think it was, stopped it from working properly. So I wasn't able to use it. I only use Word anyway, but so I just downloaded the Apache LibreOffice.
What up?
Oh, there he is.
I am having a night.
It happens, dude. It's been storming off and on all day here, so.
Oh yeah, I don't know what the weather is like here. I haven't even paid attention. Oh, somebody's trying to break into my Facebook again.
Oh.
It happens more often than you would think. Apparently, my Facebook is really important to somebody.
Yes. Yeah, apparently. I get suspended a lot, so I wouldn't know. Every time I'm on there, I'll say something. One post will get me like a 2 to 6 month ban. So
at this point, I'm almost tempted to just give it to whoever's trying to break in. I don't use the thing ever. The last time I used it, a friend of mine died, and I'm,
Yeah, that might make you a bit superstitious.
Anyhow, as I was saying, they just talked about how the press or Biden said that he just wanted to get out of there and he couldn't leave until Joe did. And I was pointing out that the press just repeated that and lied about people who said, no, that's clearly not what happened. Joe was lost. And not one person on CNN went, he was clearly lost on stage again. It happens all the time. And this is their fallback, Jack. Like, that's what they told us. That's fine that that's what they told you. But that's not where your job is supposed to stop as a reporter, as a journalist. If you guys had questioned Donald Trump about literally everything he says, but you didn't think to go, maybe Biden's lying to us. You know, the guy who's been known as a liar his whole fucking political life.
They have no curiosity because they don't want to. It would be counterproductive to their goals.
Imagine if you came in and there's coloring all over the wall and your 3-year-old has crayons in their hand and you went, who did this? And they went, I don't know. And you went, well, I guess nobody can figure out who did this.
It's a mystery for the ages, man.
Because that's how they treated Biden. And now they're trying to pretend that, hey, that's what we were told, so it's really not our fault. But your job isn't just to report what you were told. It's to report on what happened. Thank you, Dangerous. Again, holy fuck. I'm just a graduate journalist, not a working one. I did better quality journalism than this my first semester as a student. These people are so-called professionals. This is embarrassing. It is embarrassing. But the difference is, Dangerous, you actually want to be a journalist and they want to be activists.
Yeah.
But here's an excerpt about the quote. He doesn't look like he knows where he's supposed to go, thought Congresswoman Annie Kuster. That's a Democrat from New Hampshire, sitting in the audience with the California Congresswoman Julia Brownley. They'd seen him in the photo line, and Kuster could tell it was a struggle for the president to engage.
Former President.
How come none of you guys reported on that at the time? How come none of you guys asked about that at the time? And see, Jack, this is when this fucking whore that's about to come on, not Caitlyn, that's a different kind of whore.
Oh.
When she's like, oh, they wouldn't have brought Biden out if they didn't think he could actually handle it. Bullshit. They pumped him full of drugs and thought he'd do well enough that the press would just lie for him again.
Yep, because they had done it every other time. Still doing it now.
Yeah. Well, look at what happened with the debate between Kamala and Trump. Trump demolished her in that debate.
Yeah, it was almost sad.
But the press even had the Republicans coming out going, Kamala baited him and he kept falling for the bait every time. Anyway. Oh, God, this shrill bitch.
Joe Biden's apparent inability to recognize George Clooney at a June 2024 fundraiser is one of the starkest revelations from CNN's Jake Tapper and Axios' Alex Thompson's new reporting for their upcoming book, Original Sin. They report.
Jack,
Okay.
is there anybody I could tell you that when Biden was president, he didn't recognize him and you'd be shocked by it?
Not really. No.
It's one of the most shocking things. This over and over and over again. This is a whole different segment, a whole different show, and they're doing the same bullshit. Nobody saw it coming. It's a complete shock to us. It's a good thing Jake went out there and did his job after it was, relevant.
Report that days before that debate, the infamous debate on CNN between Biden and Trump, an aide had to gently remind the then president and presidential candidate who George Clooney was, saying, George. The reporting goes on to detail the president's mental and physical decline months before the presidential election, including concerns from people close to him who thought he may need to use a wheelchair when it came to his physical capability.
And there's that again. Nobody gave a shit about it. I can't. I can't, Jack. Fuck these people and fuck their bullshit. I will throw this into chat if anybody wants to sludge through 2 more segments of CNN, including whoever that Democrat operative is with her stupid, they wouldn't have put him in the debate if they thought it was a problem.
Right.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, Jack, our press is trash, man.
I know.
They're just trash. And I hate to call human beings trash that, haven't broke the law or anything, but these people they are evil. They're just evil.
Absolutely.
Speaking of evil, you see the Democrats are going to recall old David Hogg.
Yeah, I saw that. Fucking ridiculous.
But I don't remember if we talked about it on air or not at the time, but I know we talked about it. Their rules are meant to have parity. Remember the guy talking about how, I know we talked about at least part of it online. They're giving the rules about how the upcoming vote is going to go, and the guy has to dance all around with or somebody who identifies as female. Remember that stupid shit?
Yeah. Well, let's be honest. David Hogg is kind of a woman.
Yeah, and this is the problem, is that in their description, basically they were supposed to vote in one man and one woman, or at least people who identify. And they didn't. Instead, they voted in 2 men. And it goes against their own parliamentary procedures.
Yeah.
And it probably would have been fine until David Hogg goes on to Bill Maher and basically says we need to throw all the old people out.
Yeah, it may not have been such a good move on his part.
Yeah, whoopsie. Did you forget what team you're playing for, Dave? Dave is an idiot, and I hate that he goes on Bill Maher. And actually, I don't agree with what he says there, other than that Democrats are stupid. Because me and David disagree entirely on what the Democrats need to do to win again. And in his mind, they need to be nicer to men, but he doesn't exactly describe what that means. He's we can't tell them that they're toxic, but that's your whole brand, bro.
Yeah, that's kind of part of your identity politics to get women and feminists. And
the Democrats are nothing without identitarian politics. They just aren't. They have nothing else to fall back on. And David, you can go ahead and try your commie bullshit, but the problem is that too many people will see what it's like and reject it.
Yeah.
We just need to get people in there who ruin the country. That's not the win you think it is, homie. I mean, he is right about the way Democrats treat men. Just look at... I really wish we'd watch that video. We probably should at some point, where Shuan Head on one of her jokes in her one video is that Tim Walz was the first white cis male DEI hire. And then he goes on this show 2 weeks ago and basically is like, Yeah, I was a DEI hire.
Yeah, I was hired because I was a white man, and they needed to bring in the masculine men. Yeah, okay, dude.
They have a masculinity problem on the left.
Yeah,
And
because
it's-
they don't like masculinity.
No. There was a poll that came out recently, and I don't have it in front of me, but it shows that Democrats don't like masculinity in leaders. And I'm like, then why do all of you women in the Democratic Party try to act like men when you become leaders? Keldrick, thank you. It is always funny to me that the movers and the shakers in the party of diversity are the old white men they claim to hate. They're behind the scenes now, mostly. They have Hassan Piker. Yeah, I mean, look, I will give Hassan at least some credit because he does a little bit of lifting and stuff, and he's got muscles and body hair, which is odd for a Democrat. But he doesn't exactly identify as one of them either.
Yeah, he's the professor.
Yeah. The thing is, they are against everything that masculinity, that real masculinity is, Jack. Stoicism, physical strength, looking like a man, not
Defending
wearing
women.
Yeah, defending women. That's one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
As a man, even if it was a woman that I hated, if I saw her in trouble, my instinct would be to go save her from that trouble.
I mean, that's kind of ingrained in us as a species, but they've been working real hard to filter it out.
I've been watching different videos and of various things, but a theme keeps coming up of women who just don't like the old tropes of like men rescuing women. The reason that that's a trope is because that is the natural order. My wife could try to protect me, but we're both screwed if she has to protect me. She's a tiny little woman, Jack.
Yeah. Like that stuff is saved for movies and things like that where like slashers have killed all the other people off. It's not reality, but women are not as physically capable as men. It's fantasy nonsense. They need to get over that shit.
They've so destroyed men that most men don't even know how to talk to women anymore.
Well, they're afraid to.
Wouldn't you be?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's really, I mean, especially if you meet someone at work that you're interested in, you are walking a razor's edge. You say the wrong thing, ask the wrong person out, you're getting fired. If you're lucky, that's all that will happen to you. She might sue you too for sexual harassment or some bullshit like that.
James says Thunderbolts where 4'11" woman beats up a 6'4" man. Okay, I'm not sure. I'm guessing that's Black Widow's fake sister.
Yeah, Yelena.
Yeah, that one. In superhero movies, I'll give them a little bit of leeway because they're super, except the Widows because they're not super in any way. They're just well trained.
Yeah,
so
it's over the top.
Scarlett Johansson scissor kicking somebody or scissor neck kicking thing that she does, all that's going to do is make their neck smell like her vag as she falls down.
Which, I mean, the stench might be overpowering.
She sure as hell isn't going to flip them and throw them across the room. What's the Angela Davis one? The knockoff Air Force One?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember the name of it. G20 or something.
G7, one of the Gs.
Yeah, it's one of the big meetings of world leaders.
You got an elderly woman kicking the shit out of a 6'6" dude who's jacked.
Well, have you ever watched that Equalizer show with Queen Latifah?
I haven't, but I've seen clips recently, and yeah, that's ridiculous.
Ooh, that one's I've seen bad movies that have more realistic fight scenes.
Glad to see you're still kicking. Thank you. I don't know about kicking, but I'm still alive. Jack, I pulled my thigh muscle really bad. I pulled most of the muscles in my body, but my thigh muscle on my left leg is fucking killing me.
Ooh.
You know how much you use your thigh muscle?
Oh, quite a bit. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, you sure it's not a blood clot?
I'm positive, yeah. No, I was moving heavy shit, and I'm not as strong as I used to be, and my body reminded me of that.
Yeah, mine does that too. It's like, hey, fatty, you're not in any condition for this.
Yeah, 300-pound woman does a Stealthman. Yeah. Would we ever put up with that shit with like just some fat guy out there doing it? The Equalizer was hard enough because he was an old man, but he didn't get into a lot of physical confrontations.
No, he mostly just shot people.
Yeah.
Because that's what I mean, they made it more realistic in that regard. I mean, the storylines were a little over the top,
goofy.
but it was a TV show from the 80s, you know. But his response was mostly to shoot people. Even
Well,
like shows like The Blacklist with Spader, they did the same thing because he's getting older.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as physical. But you start doing like a morbidly obese 60-plus woman flipping people around. No, that's just not realistic at all. She's getting her ass kicked. This isn't a Medea movie.
The whole name of Equalizer comes from the old, what is it, Colt?
Yeah, God created man. Sam Colt made him equal.
There's a poem that goes along with it. Call on me and I shall equalize. It's talking about a gun.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
great marketing.
You don't really need to have ninja moves. You need a gun. They changed it up a little bit with Denzel in the movies. They're a little bit more action focused, but it's still him shooting people because that's what he does.
Yeah, well, even if you look at the Taken movies, a dude in his 50s could still be pretty strong. Dude in his 60s, not nearly as strong as somebody in their 20s,
no,
but probably has a little bit of experience and could cheat.
But
and probably shoot you.
This is what bothers me with something like the female Equalizer. If ever there was a time that you want to have you want to make the chick the badass, make her good at shooting. That equalizes shit. Your 6'5" ass doesn't mean shit when the 4'11" chick is holding an Uzi.
Yeah, you got Annie Oakley there. You're probably going to get smoked. You know,
Yeah.
She was better shot than you. It's just the way it is. Quick draw. You know, come on.
It's why I really am looking forward. I forget the name of it, but the new John Wick female movie.
Oh, Ballerina. Yeah.
Yeah, Ballerina. Because they just come out and tell her, you need to cheat. You're going to get your ass kicked.
Yeah, exactly. That movie does look pretty good. I just saw a trailer for it.
And there's going to be parts of it that are like, come on. But at least the premise, at least they're acknowledging the reality of like, yeah, you're going to get your ass kicked. You might want to shoot, stab, poison, something.
What they need to do is learn from the James Bond movies. Whenever he did something completely fantastical and over the top, they played that little bit of music, that da-na-na-na.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, I have to just go with this.
Yep, we're turning off all disbelief. Let's just go.
Yeah, all logic is out the window for this brief moment in time. They need something like that, some sort of cue for the audience. Oh, by the way, did you see the trailer for the Superman movie?
I did. Can we stop? Can we please stop with the cliche of the public hates the hero?
Yeah. What happened to superheroes, man? They used to be, they were literal heroes, and now they're like, everybody hates them.
Yeah.
Because the people writing them are deconstructionist assholes who don't know what it's like to have a friend, let alone a hero.
In the original Superman movies, people loved when Superman was around. Oh, it's Superman, yay! And in all of the new ones, they're like, I don't know if I can trust this guy who just saved us from the evil monster.
Yeah, oh my god, he fought a giant kaiju and won single-handedly. But he's a strange visitor from another planet. Oh, fuck off.
Oh, and they're playing up the illegal alien thing.
Of course they are.
Oh, that annoyed me when I watched that part.
Yeah.
But hey, it's tested well with audiences from what we've heard.
I hope it's good, but I don't have a lot of faith. Although James Gunn made a tweet the other day that cracked me up. Hold on, let me find it real quick because it was so fucking stupid. But the marketing on this movie is pretty hit and miss. I'm not liking the costume that much. It looks like cosplay. So I'm not real keen on that. But it looks like there's a lot of other heroes going to be guest appearing in it. Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho. We've already talked extensively about Guy Gardner.
Yeah.
And Hot Girl. Okay, James Gunn said, your choice is your action. That's what makes you who you are. So I reposted one of his old tweets. I like when little boys touch me in my silly place. Yeah. I guess your actions make you who you are, James. Asshole.
That reminds me,
I think James Gunn is highly overrated, for the record.
You had a retweet today.
Yeah, yes, I did. Pauly Shore retweeted me.
What do you think of Pauly Shore?
I like Pauly Shore.
I think that his character that he played,
The Weasel?
Yeah, it got a little old after a while.
Yeah, but it was his shtick, just like Ernest.
Yeah.
You know? So
But
I get why he stuck with it so long.
It's why I actually like Son-in-Law, because he does some of it in there, but he's also a normal person in it for quite a bit of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was a surprisingly fun movie.
He's actually not a bad actor. He's not a great actor, but he's not a bad actor. And I think he's pretty funny. He's capable of doing really good comedic timing.
Yes, he's got great timing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And when I saw that short film they did about him playing Richard Simmons, I really want them to do the full thing of that.
Oh, yeah, he could do that one pretty well.
Yeah, because I thought he did a really good representation of Richard Simmons, and he treated him with respect. It wasn't, super flamboyant or over the top or anything like that. It could have been. It could easily have been silly. But he actually showed he could act pretty well. I thought so anyway. And that's what the tweet was about. Because I really hope they do that. Or, I wrote it while we were watching a movie on Frosted Glass's private thing, Bad Movie Night. And I was like, I'd like to see a movie where Pauly Shore fights vampires. So those are my options. Do the Richard Simmons one, or one where you fight vampires, or preferably where you're Richard Simmons fighting vampires.
Real quick, JB, thank you. Claire Obscure had an amazing story, much better than the slop produced by Hollywood. I'll play that any day over watching the Thunderbolts. I don't have any interest in the Thunderbolts. One, I already know the story of it because I don't care about spoilers, Jack.
Yeah.
But two, when your main thing is everybody gets depressed, and we wanted to put that on screen. Did you guys not watch what happened with the DC universe?
Right?
I mean,
stop making things sad. Make a fucking uplifting superhero movie. Did they not realize that they own the original 1978 Superman? Go watch that again and be like, what worked here? Why was this so fucking popular? Oh, it's about a guy doing heroic stuff and fighting bad guys. That's all it is. Aim it at 13-year-old boys. It'll be a fucking smash out of the park, you retards.
Well, there's one of the problems that they have. You can have deep storylines in this stuff, but you still have to have it within your timing. So a lot of their comedy doesn't fit because they're trying to put it into genres where they're making shit dark.
Yeah, well, they're trying too hard to make everything dark, but they have to throw in the silly stuff to break up any tension whatsoever. Let me grab a couple of slabs here real quick.
Sure.
Thank you, Keldrick. Indiana Jones is a great movie series for this. He almost never fights fair. Yeah, no shit. Whenever he gets in a melee fight, he gets wrecked. So he shoots people or uses his whip or takes advantage of the environment. Yes. And that's because that's good writing. But we don't have good writers anymore that understand how things work or have life experience at all or have an imagination. So we can't do that. But yeah, Indy got his ass kicked all the time. He even picked up chicks with that, like it hurts here, kiss here.
I point back to Die Hard with that one. In the physical fights that he has, Bruce Willis gets his ass whipped, and he should.
Yeah. Look, there's very few fights where an average person is going to win against a trained fighter.
Yeah.
unless you fight dirty or you cheat or there's some environmental factor that gives you an edge.
Yep.
Like you knock them down an elevator shaft or you stab them in the face or whatever, or hit them with a potted plant. Whatever the case, you can write an underdog story and make it good. Also,
even if you go back to Rambo, First Blood Part 2.
Oh, yeah.
The first one where Stallone is the ripped guy who goes into a foreign country. He's not just taking on everybody and beating them up. He uses guns, explosives, subterfuge. It's not just he runs in and beats everybody. That you're thinking of Commando if you think that's what it was.
Yeah, or
And
maybe Rambo 3. I'd give you that.
Rambo 3, sure. But in the first Rambo movie, not the First Blood movie.
Yeah.
But even in the First Blood movie, when John Rambo first becomes a thing, he's not just running around beating everybody up. He takes them out with his military training.
Yeah. Yeah. He's even hiding from them for the majority of the movie.
Yes. Anyway, I'm sorry. Did you have another one?
Yeah. Thank you, Evolved Potato. In the first few movies with the Black Widow in them, showed how she can't beat up a man in a straight up fight. She had to use tools and techniques to win. Like she kicked a man as he stumbled back, and she was flung to the group because she was weaker. She in the comics she uses the Widow's Kiss, which is those wrist gauntlets that she's got, and that stuns people so she can kick their ass. That needed to be fleshed out a little bit better, but the whole thing where that little crotch grab she does is so overdone, especially by the Avengers movies. It's just a little over the top.
Look, it's an interesting move to see on screen. It's very flashy.
Yeah.
But it's total bullshit. I thought they were just tasers.
They basically are, but if you're stunned, you're not going to be able to put up much of a defense when somebody hits you.
Yeah.
So they're basically little taser darts that she can shoot out. And that works to distract and subdue someone so you can knock them out. It's an equalizer.
You ever read the early Spider-Man comics?
Oh yeah. Little nerd.
They are very down. If you guys have never read them, you really should get the collection of them. There's a hardbound 3-volume set that has the first I think it's the first 30 comics and the first 2 mega issues.
Yeah, they've reprinted a lot of that stuff several times. So
Peter, the story, Peter's story is just heartbreak and tragedy. And you still do get the humor, but that comes once he throws on the mask and he's just beating up the bad guys and toying with them or trying to get them to think that he's still fine when he's obviously hurt, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That works. What they do in the MCU, they will take like some really down stuff and make a joke about that instead of it being when they're fighting the guy, because that's where a lot of the humor comes from in the comics.
Yeah,
is during the fight, not afterwards or beforehand when there's like they're at a funeral cracking jokes. There's just a tone problem in the MCU. And not only that, they got rid of the A-list characters. They're on the C list now and working their way down to D. And nobody cares about these characters. Did you see they released the trailer for Riri Williams?
Yeah. That character was not that popular when she was new. And now it's kind of aged out where a lot of that stuff is obviously not selling anymore because people are sick of it. So they've chased away all the fans that were annoyed by it. And now they're just left with people that like it for political reasons but don't read it. So this is like 5 years too late.
What really bothered me about it is somehow this little woman has a thicker Iron Man suit than Iron Man. It looks more like it belongs in some anime show.
Yeah, the original outfit that she constructed was more like the original Iron Man suit from like when he did in a cave under pressure and threat of death and injury. And she's like, I just stole a bunch of shit out of a dumpster and made my own. But she's the smartest ever. I'm just sick of girl genius. It's tiresome. They've done it too many times.
Danger says even Jason Bourne, a trained fighter, still had to improvise. Yeah, it's one of the things that the Bourne, because if you've ever actually fought people, it is very rare for a fight to be completely one-sided. There's a lot of back and forth and struggle, and part of his training is to look for the things that he can use as a weapon. They like when he's in the diner with the chick in the first movie, and he's listing off all of the things that he notices, how much people weigh, how many cars are in the parking lot, where the exits are. His whole thing is that he knows his complete surroundings and how to use them to his advantage. Do that with a chick. You can do that. But they'll never do that, because if they made a Jennifer Bourne, she would just be able to reach in and grab a guy's heart right out of his chest.
Well, she's the bestest ever.
Yeah.
She's better than a man. She's a woo man.
Women are clever. They're devious even. Sorry, ladies. Play that up. Make them the smarter one. Because if you're not bigger, you need to be smarter.
Yeah. Well, that's why women are typically poisoners. In historical terms, when women were killing people, they would poison them or stab them while they're sleeping.
Yeah.
And now you got firearms, of course, but there's just bad writers, and that you're not allowed to have tension, so nobody could feel a little discomfort at all, because the writers can't handle tension. Have you met any of these Gen Z crybabies? They really have no ability to handle any kind of stress at all. They don't know how to deal with it. So they come up with this jokey bullshit. It's what Tiki Watiki's entire movie career is, just silly jokes whenever there's any kind of tension at all. The Thor movie, Love and Thunder, really demonstrated that well. But all of the Marvel stuff's like that now. You can't have tension because they don't know how to deal with it. And they don't have real world life experience in any kind of real adventure type scenario. Even just going somewhere that's a little out of their comfort zone. You don't see that very often with younger people anymore, because they're used to having that like helicopter parent.
Zan, thank you so much. You aren't dead? Not yet. Not yet. I was watching a video today called The Worst Video Game Reviews of All Time.
Uh-oh.
And there's 5 of them that they go over, and one of them was it Vanity Fair? I forget who it was, but it was for Hogwarts Legacy. And they talked about the people who refused to even review it. And then they go over that review. And in that review, they spend very little time talking about the game at all.
What?
Because it's uncomfortable, and they weren't even sure they were going to play it, because the woman who is not really going to benefit from this a lot, other than the licensing fee, she's going to benefit from this. And I think if you play this game, you must just like hurting people.
Oh God. Did they talk about the Cuphead tutorial?
No, I mean, they bring that up briefly, but no, they talk about a couple of games I'd never heard of, and then a few that I had, and one of them was I think it was the IGN review of Doom, which they blasted Doom, and they've since had to come back and go, it's one of the greatest games ever.
Yeah, everybody seemed to love that game from everybody that I've seen play it.
The reviewer really comes off as though he just wants to be the contrarian.
Oh, lame.
Like, everybody likes this, so I can't like it, because liking things is so uncool.
Liking stuff that's so passé.
Yeah.
I gotta be a miserable prick.
Look, there's things that, because their popularity, it makes it annoys me. Like certain songs.
Creed?
No, like well, I mean, Creed could be one.
Nickelback, Coldplay.
Blues Travelers, one song.
That one. Run Around.
Run Around, thank you. I didn't hate that song when it first came out.
But after hearing it a whole bunch of times.
It wasn't even the hearing it so many times. It was how many people told me how great that song was. I'm like, it's not even that good. It's all right. But like one of my best friend's wife fucking loved it and told me how great it was. And did you hear the harmonica? I'm like, yeah, it sounds like every other fucking harmonica I've ever heard. Some white guy blowing into it, not understanding why he's doing it that way.
Yeah, and he's a sweaty fat guy on top of that.
Bruce Willis played the fucking harmonica in a song. It's not impressive to me. Now you show me somebody playing violin to Gangnam Style and you got my attention.
Yeah, or the people that do the what is that weird instrument the bardcore people play? The hurdy-gurdy?
Oh, yeah. Riri could have worked if she was Tony's protege. If Tony had followed her education because she was a super genius and brought her under his wing, I don't think anyone would have complained. I disagree with you for one reason, and I think Critical Drinker brought it up in his review of the trailer today. Marvel has a really bad habit right now of young female characters who are all super geniuses.
They're smarter than the men. Well, if they're women of color, they're smarter than the men.
If you go back to the older age, I'm not even sure which age it is with the comics. I think it's Silver Age. Whenever Spider-Man comes around.
Yeah, it's been Silver Age.
The geniuses of the Marvel world are all older men except Peter Parker, and he's an exception, not the rule. He's the one young one. Johnny Blaze is a fucking party boy.
Yeah.
Not Johnny Blaze.
Johnny Storm.
Storm, thank you. I always fucking do that every time.
Johnny Blaze was a carny, so he was
Yes.
a party boy. You weren't wrong. You were just wrong in a different, like, trashier area.
Yes. The geniuses, your Reed Richards, your Dr. Doom, all of them, they're all older.
Yeah.
They're older men who have gone to school for this shit. They're geniuses. But in the modern Marvel age, it's all little girls in high school. They're all Peter Parker. And I think it just got overdone. If she was the only one and became Tony's protege, sure.
Yeah, they would have had to set that up years in advance, though.
Yeah.
And actually flesh out the character and show her fail a few times. But they didn't do that. They wanted to cut straight to the popularity. That they were trying to cheat the system, and it doesn't work that way. They wanted to erase the characters that they had and replace them all with more minority characters that were all better than the original, and it just doesn't work that way. And it would require better writing. It could have been done. They just chose to try and take the easy path.
Foreign Native says the geniuses are few and far between as well. Yeah, not everybody was a fucking super genius. But
yeah.
What's the latest Ant-Man one? Quantum whatever.
Quantum Mania, yeah.
The Scott's daughter, who grows up and becomes a cunt, apparently.
Yeah.
Just for no reason, figures out a way to make a communication device for inside the quantum realm.
Well, she's a super genius because she's got a vagina. Vaginas equal geniuses.
It comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, what they did to MODOK was a fucking crime, too.
The last time we saw his daughter was like she was in a regular public school, and now she's like smarter than Tony Stark.
Well, I mean, she has to be. She's a woman. She's not the smartest because she's white. The smartest are like Shuri and Riri and Moon Girl. Those are the smartest people on the planet. Moon Girl's like 9.
Thank you, JB. Magnesia instead of Magneto. Also, she's Palestinian. Is that a real thing?
Do you want honest answers to your questions?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it is. But give it time.
It will be. No, because Magneto's evil, so they won't do that.
Oh no, he is morally gray. They have gotten rid of the idea that he is strictly evil, and that he is more like the Venom or the Punisher. Which I told you, Venom is Mary Jane now, right? The new Venom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would argue that Magneto always has been kind of morally gray.
Yeah, because he's a supremacist.
Yes.
But they've gotten rid of the fact that he has committed genocides.
Yes.
Just kind of like, oh no, he's just a separatist that wants to protect his people.
And I'm so tired of the morally gray shit. I was watching Drinker's take on Andor because he really loved the whatever the last episode was.
Mm-hmm.
And he's describing it, and I realized at that point I'm never going to watch Andor, and here's why. Because everything he tells me about Andor, it should have been a Star Trek show instead of a Star Wars show. Star Wars is grand adventure. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Star Trek was the more politically motivated one and the more grounded one. And that's not what I look for in Star Wars.
I agree with what you're saying in principle, but it did add a different level to the Star Wars universe. It gave that more avenue for deeper writing like that, deeper science fiction. I think that works for TV shows, but not for movies for Star Wars. Star Wars movies have to be big and epic, but the TV shows, it's hard to do that on a weekly basis without being like boring after a little while. So they have to have more of a meta narrative to it. And you can find a happy medium. Andor was probably a little too much like Star Trek in that regard. But yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, but I think it worked okay.
I hear you. I've just never, for me, it's the Force is integral to Star Wars.
Yeah, you have to have, well, there weren't really that many aliens in any of the Star Wars TV shows.
Right.
They were few and far between. And that's part of the draw of Star Wars, is that you have these massive clusters of different technologies and races that are all getting along together. It almost looks like America in a way, where you've got all these different cultures blending in and trying to live together. And that creates a lot of interesting storylines and weaponry and equipment. And it's not really addressed in the TV shows very much. And I think it's even more so with Star Wars than Star Trek, because Star Trek, you only have really a handful of bumpy-headed people, comparatively speaking. I mean, look at the Jabba's palace in Return of the Jedi. There's probably more alien races in that one scene where Luke walks in and all the people are listening to what he has to say than in all of Star Trek.
Well, Trek did a smart thing where oftentimes the aliens were referred to. There's one great episode of TNG. I don't remember which one it was, but Picard is meeting with these, I believe they were water aliens. You never see them. All you see is Picard bitching about them because he's kind of a B story in that episode.
Yeah.
So they did that a lot. There's several times where they reference aliens you never see.
Well, it's too hard to do complex stuff like that on a weekly basis. The budget just isn't there.
Yeah, they had a $1 million budget for each episode of TNG by the end.
Yeah, and still a lot of the costuming looked a little slapdash at times.
Yeah, especially the alien races.
Yeah, and
good. Back scan. That's a bird outside my house, I believe.
Real quick, thank you, Tyrai. Who is Goliath in relation to Ant-Man? Goliath, the character, he's uses the same technology based on Pym particles. In the movies, it's the guy that helped develop the Ant-Man suit and eventually split ways with Hank Pym. I don't remember his exact connection. I think he was like a guy they hired to work on the Goliath program. So yeah, but that's who Goliath is. He's the one that can enlarge in as opposed to shrink, because it uses a slightly different technology. It's riskier to use the Ant-Man equipment to try and grow massive than it is for Goliath, because the technology is designed that way. If that makes sense.
Thank you, Tyrai. That's what I loved about Mass Effect. It felt like the love child of Star Wars and Star Trek. Yeah, it's not that Star Wars never could have been that way, but with the way that it started out, somebody said it earlier, Trek was sci-fi, Wars was fantasy, and that's basically what it was. And they tried to redo that with the prequels, which starts out with politics.
Yeah, the Trade Federation Wars.
Yeah, politics never really came. I mean, there was the evil empire versus the rebels, but
it was a little more vague and nebulous.
Yeah. It was good versus evil. There was no stormtrooper that suddenly had a flash of conscience.
Yeah, that's more the Empire was more window dressing because you didn't know if it was, it could have been the Roman Empire, it could have been Nazi Germany, it could have been the Ottomans. You still had the general vagary of it's just a large collective of really bad guys.
Yeah.
There were similarities to real world stuff that was obvious inspirations. It was obviously drawing a lot on the Romans and the Germans, but it could have been any large government body. So you could kind of use it as a template for generic evil, oppressive regime. Real quick, thank you, Evolved Potato. If you want to look at a great passing of the torch character, look at Batman Beyond with Terry McGinnis. He's not as good as the original, and at the start, he relies on the advanced suit and is taught a lot of stuff, and even then, he's nowhere near as smart. Yeah, they did that several times with Batman Beyond, and then even later on with like All-Star Batman, or not All-Star Batman, the Batman and Robin book where Dick Grayson was taking over as Batman for a little while and training Damian. They even did that after Nightfall when Batman had passed the mantle to John Paul Valley, who went completely fucking nuts. And then Dick Grayson took over for a storyline called Prodigal. And that storyline was pretty interesting, but you got to see it at the tail end of Nightfall. When Night's End came, that Batman and Nightwing had a heart-to-heart that was really well done because the story was planned out well in advance. And the whole thing was set up to only last a little while, like a year, so that you could have this passing of the torch thing and then have the Prodigal storyline while Bruce was relearning, his skill set. It was basically two Batmans running around for a while, but it was really maturely handled. So it can be done. It's just rare to be done well.
It says Megatron almost fell there. No, I just clicked the wrong button on my dashboard here.
That'll happen. Also, thank you, Keldrick. I like morally gray characters from time to time. The problem is the modern morally gray character is usually an evil monster, but they like little kids and kittens, so they have a sad backstory, so they can't possibly be evil, and they're everywhere. Yes, because modern writers do not know good and evil or the hero's journey. We have watered down the concept of evil so much that we have like 2 or 3 generations of people that do not understand evil's a real thing.
I don't have necessarily a problem with a morally gray character. I think they can be great characters. Jack Sparrow, especially in the second and third Caribbean movies, is morally gray. He's clearly a shitbag, but he still does the right thing from time to time when it matters.
Yeah.
And it works because they set him up that way. But it's things like when they bring in the gray Jedi. Like that.
Not everything needs to have that moral ambiguity.
No.
It doesn't work for everything, especially a hero's journey story. It's really difficult to say, well, I do all this evil shit all the time, but I'm still the good guy. No, that's not a journey. You're still an evil shitbag. You're just on a quest. That's a quest storyline, not a journey.
And especially when you set up the rules for it where there's good and evil, there's light and dark.
Yeah.
There's no, that's kind of foggy.
Yeah, look, you can have heroes that kill people. But a lot of people seem to have this problem understanding that good people can occasionally kill others. You're not supposed to murder others. There's a distinct difference between killing and murder. because heroes throughout history have been people that have had to take lives. It's a problem with bad writers.
Thank you, Dangerous. This is what I hate about the argument all art, like movies, is political. No, movies can contain stories about politics, but that doesn't make them political, if that makes sense. No, it makes total sense. It's a difference that a lot of people don't pick up the distinction on. Just because there's politics in a story doesn't make it a political story.
Yeah.
No, to your point, one of my favorite pitch meetings is the one that was done for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Because he brings up when John Walker kills that guy.
Oh, yeah. The terrorist.
Yeah. And he's like, but Bucky and Falcon have killed a bunch of people.
Yeah. One of my most entertaining arguments was with a comic nerd at the comic shop who said Captain America would never have done that. And I said, what about Baron fucking Blood? Because Captain America did the exact same thing to Baron Blood.
Mm-hmm.
He cut his head off with the shield. And he's like, that never happened. So me and the guy working at the comic shop had to literally go to the back issue bin and pull that comic out and show it to him. Because that was the only way he could stop the vampire from killing more people.
You ever see Razor Fist video on Batman not killing?
I don't think so.
You should check it out. He makes the perfect argument for why Batman should just fucking kill the Joker.
Oh, I've been saying that for 30 years. It makes no sense. There could be multiple people that are the Joker over time.
And
other people take up the mantle. That's it. The bad guys are disposable.
And you would probably really like his thing then. But he points out, like, when Batman first comes on the scene, he's carrying a fucking machine gun.
Yo, yeah, Batman carried guns. He killed a couple of people. And he even lectures Robin in one episode or one issue. So one of the detective comics is like, taking a life it should be a last resort. But like, and there are people that seem to have died, like Joker one time fell off of a tower, and that they just didn't go look for the body, I guess, because aimed at children. But they didn't make any moral qualms about the fact that these guys would have to kill people.
Yeah.
There's people coming at them with knives and guns all the time. You're going to accidentally get someone killed.
Yeah, all of the hero stuff where they let the bad guys live never turns out good for them. At some point, it's like, yeah, just take them out. But yeah, if you haven't seen that one, check it out. I forget the exact name of it, but just look up Razor Fist and probably Joker, I think you'd find it. But we've gotten to this place where heroes never kill.
Yeah, that's been
Really?
the tagline from the pussy lefties at DC and Marvel for a long time, and it's just not realistic.
I would ask,
used to kill people fairly regularly.
I would ask if the 101st Airborne in World War II were heroes.
Yeah, like Sergeant Rock and the Unknown Soldier killed people pretty much every issue. Back then, though, like Enemy Ace and all those like World War II and before characters, they killed people pretty routinely. They were considered heroes still. And even when they had other characters get killed over the years, but it was late 70s where that started to really shift. But yeah, they used to kill people. It wasn't that big of a deal because the world was smarter back then. They understood that people with laser beams coming out of their eyes are actually going to kill people occasionally. Again, maybe by accident, but it's going to happen.
Jordan says it turns out good for the artist. They can reuse the villain. But like Jack said, villains can be anyone.
Yeah,
How many people have been Venom now?
I don't know.
It's like 3 or 4 at this point.
Yeah, there's been several people that have been Venom. But yeah, it's one of those things where somebody can pick up the mantle. Same like Green Goblin and Hobgoblin have had several iterations over
Yes,
the years.
and you get the mystery of when they come back, like, who the hell is this?
Yeah, they did that with Hobgoblin for like 4 years. They
did
that. Those bastards. And then they revealed it in an issue where he died, and no one knew he was the Hobgoblin until he died, and they found the costume in his suitcase.
Is that line off the Peacemaker? What line? Jedi are lawful good. They don't break the law to do good. A gray Jedi would break the law to do good. A gray Jedi doesn't exist. At least that's what a gray Jedi is to me. A gray Jedi can't exist because there's good and evil.
Yeah, you can have someone who
It's
tries to bend the rules.
It's where they draw their powers from.
Yeah, it's the whole dichotomy of giving into your emotions versus being more stoic.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick though, thank you, Tyrai. The D&D player that burns the town, kills civilians and so forth, yet because they handed a bag of cookies to someone's grandmother and thus they're true neutral. It's a dumb argument because sure, Al Capone took care of his mother, but he was still evil. Yeah, the reason people like Al Capone could get away with stuff is they'd open like soup kitchens and they'd give stuff away. So they were prominent in the community and people liked them for the free shit they gave away. They'd give away, or give people jobs, handyman, shit like that. But they were still doing incredibly evil things behind the scenes. And that whole true neutral thing, I've gotten in so many fucking arguments with people over that. Like, it's chaotic good or lawful good. That's it. No evils. You're not going to burn villages down. I don't want chaotic evil or chaotic neutral on my games. You fuck everything up.
A Jedi does not deal in absolutes unless it's convenient to do so. Isn't that from the prequels? That's it. Friends, get that fucking Dianetics bullshit out of here. I fucking hate what he did with the prequels, man.
I'm still on the fence. I haven't watched them in a few years, but I did like a lot of the stuff in there. I do have a video that I think you need to see if you haven't seen it yet.
What is it?
It's that first link. It relates to something we've talked about several times over the years.
What did I just do to my screen?
I don't know.
I resized it when I wasn't trying to. I hate when I do that shit.
Yeah, I've done that.
There we go. I don't think well, worst that happens is we get hit. Wouldn't be the first time. Nope,
No,
not that. There we go. I almost put the chat on the screen. They don't need to see that. Sometimes I actually pay attention to what I'm doing. All right, so this is clearly a mock-up of this.
No, this is a lost scene. Totally real.
I don't know what it is, but for some reason, when I kiss you, it's like I'm kissing my brother.
Why did she know that? That is the actual.
Where do you think she practiced kissing?
That is the actual line from the movie. And remember, she French kisses Marty. It's not just a kiss, meh.
Well, it's obviously supposed to be like an idiom, not a literal she kissed her brother, but like that's how I imagined kissing my brother. It's just
no, that's
tiny girl brains.
No. There's nobody you're kissing outside your family where you're just sensing that you have the same DNA. I feel like my brother would tongue my tongue like that.
Well, I mean, I'm telling you, maybe she kissed her brother. He did some bad touches.
I think she did some bad touches. She was kind of a rapist in that movie, if we're being honest.
Yeah, a little bit. She was definitely sexually aggressive ahead of her time. Real quick, though, thank you, Okie Native. A stream where we talk about comics and pop culture in the morning. Should try this out more often. Maybe call it Daylight Stream. No, something that pops more. sun is up, chat. I don't know. You'll figure it out. I'll see if I can workshop it, Okie. Thank you.
When I kiss you, I feel like I'm kissing my brother after I got stuck in the dryer. Stop it. Oh, okay. Let's see where this goes.
Believe me, it makes perfect sense.
It just feels wrong. And yet,
No.
Just let it play. Just let it play.
you're right.
What do you mean you had sex with your own mother? She was throwing herself at me, Doc. Jesus Christ, Marty! She's a lot younger. It's not what it sounds like. I don't even understand how you're still here. Surely you must have undone something.
Think about that one.
Well, I've always wondered why George didn't ask, how come Marty looks just like Calvin Klein?
Maybe he did.
Suddenly the kid's a teenager, like, you look very familiar. Shot Red, thank you so much. I am curious, would you agree that us humans in general are morally gray? The gray Jedi concept can work, just make them a rare situation in that world. Again, I'm just going to disagree on the gray Jedi because the whole thing is good versus evil, not good versus evil.
Versus whatever I need it to be at the moment.
And I don't think most people are morally gray. I think people just have different morality.
Yeah, the problem with the gray Jedi is it's lazy writing.
Yes.
It's difficult to write a good person who has rules that they have to follow. Whereas an evil character is incredibly easy to write because they can do whatever the fuck they want.
Thank you, Red Fawn. Thank you so much. Missed you, Monk. I missed you too. Thanks for the donation. I appreciate it. I will try not to be away so long again.
Unless... Yes, we can still fix this. We just have to send you back to stop this from ever happening. Wait, Marty, you can't go through with this.
There's two of you?
No.
Three ways? With your mother? And yourself?
I don't know.
I'm telling you, he would have at least slipped a finger in.
I don't know if you had seen that yet or not.
I had not, no.
But I was like, somebody made a sketch about what we joked about.
For the record,
that three-way thing threw me. I was like, whoa, they went there.
You know, in the movie, he's got to fix everything because he disappears from the picture.
Yeah.
If he disappeared entirely from the picture, then he never would have been born and everything would have gone normal. Because he wouldn't have been born, so he couldn't go back in the future to fuck everything up.
Yeah, that's why he was disappearing.
But then he would be back in the picture because he couldn't have fucked everything up, so everything would have been fine.
No, he wouldn't have been back in the picture because he was never born.
But he would have been born because since he was never born,
timeline. They explained the branching of the timelines.
What?
It creates a new timeline and branches off from the old one.
Short Red, thank you. I take it you don't like the D&D alignment. I don't. D&D is set up to have different alignments. You can have morally gray characters in other things. It just doesn't fit in Star Wars with Jedis. You can have morally gray characters in Star Wars, just not Jedis. Not. See, this is one I'm gonna. You ever read the Star Wars novel, the original novel?
Yeah.
There's only supposed to be one Sith Lord ever.
At any given time.
It says there are many Dark Lords, but only one Dark Lord of the Sith.
Yeah, he's like the head honcho. He's the baddest of the badass.
And then dumbass George Lucas comes along with the prequels like, no, if there's one, there's always two.
Well,
and
there's
I'm like,
protege.
That's not what you said in the book, fucker.
Yeah, George has a bad habit of revisionism that his wife kept in check. Otherwise, literally, Sonny Chiba was going to be Darth Vader. Because there was not supposed to be a faceplate on Darth Vader.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, and he wanted Sonny Chiba to play Darth Vader. And his wife was like, no, that's dumb.
One Sith Lord and one Sith apprentice. The problem with that is that Darth Vader works for the Emperor. And the Emperor is revealed in the prequels as being a Sith Lord. So when Darth Vader comes along to be the Sith Lord, they both can't be Sith Lords.
Well, Darth Vader was a Dark Lord, not a Sith Lord.
He was the Dark Lord of the Sith.
Yeah, he was a Dark Lord of the Sith, not the Dark Lord of the Sith.
No,
He wasn't
it
the head
specifically
honcho.
says there's only one Dark Lord of the Sith, and it's him.
Well, I mean, look, maybe Palpatine having a Biden moment.
No. George Lucas was having a Biden moment and forgot what he wrote. Because
that's the more likely scenario, yes.
He wanted to have this expanded Sith bullshit. Instead of using his brain and coming up with something new.
That's a lot of work.
I know. He read Dianetics and it changed his life. I don't know what to tell you.
Scientology again.
I mean, that's what he turned the Jedi into, is fucking Scientologists. That's what midichlorians are. They're the I forget what they're called in Scientology.
Yeah.
But where they your thetan levels, that's what that is.
Yeah.
That the thetan level one, the South Park where Stan is the reincarnation of L. Ron Hubbard. Fuck.
We're gonna sue you.
And Tom Cruise in the closet. Did I get my gun? Thank you, Short Red. Sorry, this says Shot Red. I've been saying short, haven't I? My bad.
Yeah.
Okay, I see I'm more of an EU fan. The rule of two gone. EU fan. Expanded universe? I'm not a big expanded universe fan.
Universe.
Yeah. I think it's the one thing Disney did right is getting rid of all that shit.
They threw a lot of good stuff out, which I think is a double-edged sword because they threw a lot of dog shit out too. Because a lot of those books are really poorly written. So I don't think I would have thrown everything out, but I understand why they did it. But they did it for the wrong reasons. They did it so they could push this girl power shit that we're seeing.
Yeah, and you're right about that, but when they want control of where it's going, I'm with you. I get why they did it. I just don't think they carried it out well.
Yeah, the execution was poor. They should have, like Kathleen Kennedy even said, like, oh, we didn't have any resources to draw from. Well, you did. You just threw them all out. Instead of saying, all right, this works for what we want to do, this doesn't. They
Black
just threw
Romeo.
everything away.
Black Romeo says, Monk has wounded me with these words. Look, I like Kyle Katarn as much as the next guy, but I'm fine with them saying, no, that's some Earth 616 bullshit. I'm okay with that. Yeah. Anyhow, Jack, we are almost 3 hours into the show. I think we're going to wrap up here. I think I'm going to just go get in a hot bath because my fucking body hurts, bro.
Oh, well, you shouldn't hurt yourself so much.
On the plus side, I expanded. The last time I had a garden, I just had tomatoes. And this year, we're going to try peppers and strawberries too.
Oh, so you're going to hurt yourself even more.
No, the hurting part is done. That was just getting everything ready.
Yeah, now you got to do the weeding and fight with gophers.
Nope, they're not in the ground. They're in the strawberries are in buckets, and we bought a little garden box thing for the plants.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Plus, I don't have to bend over to get stuff. So yeah, it's really nice.
Oh, that was smart. Good job, buddy.
Yeah, my father-in-law is actually an inspiration. My father-in-law has way too many tomatoes. He has so many tomatoes that he has to go around his neighborhood offering them to people.
So he throws them at people?
He's just like, you want some tomatoes? And they're like, yeah. And so he gives them to them, and he gives them whole big-ass bags of them.
He throws them in their faces. Here you go, bitch. Oh.
So every time I've been there with him, I've gone on around the neighborhood, giving them out to people. And the last time we were there, he was building another spot for even more tomatoes. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
He really likes tomatoes.
He likes to garden, and he likes making tomatoes, I guess. It's nice for me because I love tomatoes and go to his house. I just eat tomatoes the whole time I'm there. Blue Eyed says my mom's the same way. I don't want to get like that. I want enough for me. It's not that I don't want to share with my neighbors or anything. I just don't want to do extra work.
They can grow their own.
Yeah, grow your own fucking tomatoes. But Lady Monkey even got in on it with me this year, so it's cool.
That's good. It's good together time.
And it gets me up and moving around some, which is always nice.
Yeah.
I take EU over what Disney gave us by a mile. And Short Red, I'm with you on that. Thank you for the donation. Absolutely. The EU is way better than anything Disney's done since.
Yeah, I'll take Timothy Zahn over Kathleen Kennedy without a question.
But I don't like either, if I'm being honest. I love the video game, some of the video games. I should. Shadow of the Empire was great, and I wasn't a big fan of Dark Forces, but Dark Forces, both Jedi Academy and Jedi Knight, I think it was the first one. Those were a lot of fun. But if somebody said, "Is this part of the Luke Skywalker universe?" I'd be like, "Nah, bro. No, they turned Luke into a douche." And he was already a douche.
I liked a couple of the books. I haven't read more than probably a dozen of them. Some of them were really good and some were dog shit. The Han Solo trilogy, I did not like at all. The Marvel comics were pretty good. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's just trash out there. It's like anything else. Use your head canon and go with that.
A couple of people with KOTOR. Yeah, I love Knights of the Old Republic. The second one I even liked until we get to the Gray Jedi bullshit. And that's when I was like, I'm glad this game is unplayable. Because that game was trash at the end, Jack T. It was so broken. Anyway.
I've heard that.
It was a good storyline, although so fucking telegraphed. When you find out who Revan is in the first one, I honestly was shocked. In the second game, I'm like, that bitch is the bad guy. That's the bad guy. Oh, anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. Thank you for the donations. You guys are so kind. Jack, anything you want to show?
I dropped a link already to a cool video. As always, thank you guys so much for all the donations and support you give us. It's really, really appreciated. You guys are awesome.
No long goodbye tonight, guys. Jack, a pleasure as always, my friend.
Always glad to be here.
Take care of yourselves. We love you. See you on the next one. Bye now.
Bye, everybody.
I'm not singing you a fucking song. Damn it.